from the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio. Now, it's time for the SMOAK Show. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. It's time for the SMOAK Show on 365 Sports with David Smoke and Craig Smoke.
We will hear from West Virginia Director of Athletics Ren Baker here early on in this hour, along with Oklahoma State's Chad Wyberg, their AD today, and a few others before the end of the week. Good afternoon. I'm David Smoke with Craig Smoke, the SMOAK Show on 365 Sports. And before we get to Ren, when he is ready with us, today breaking news on Brendan Sorsby and the NFL. They have written a letter to him and telling him that he is not eligible and they will not be eligible for the supplemental draft. There will not be a draft this summer. And they pretty much, Craig, along the way with some of what was said was they were saying, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't tell us why this, and his life continues to be turned upside down.
Yeah, I mean, what's up, everybody? Glad to be with you again. Thanks for joining us, and good to talk to a few different people today. I'm looking forward to including Ren Baker here in just a second. But, yeah, the latest chapter in the Sorsby saga is that he's not going to be a part of the NFL supplemental draft. And forget whatever reasons they listed out or whatever. They're just – it's not even like, hey, Brendan, you're not eligible like you said at the beginning. It's not that. It's we're not having a draft. Like we're just not going to have a draft. Yep. So there's nothing to be eligible for. So, yeah, it's something that's already caused a lot of back and forth. Jeffrey Kessler's already threatening to go after the NFL because he's deemed that it's unfair. And I think he's also planning on challenging the legality of it. But if you look at the CBA, as a lot of people have pointed out, there is no requirement for the NFL to have to hold a supplemental draft. It is entirely in their own prerogative that they can do how they want when it comes to the supplemental draft. And the NFL did lay out that this was an attempt by Sorsby to join their league only after he had tried to remain in the NCAA through the court system. They said that his application carries a lot of issues. Core of the game integrity issues was the exact wording on that as well. And it said, it pointed out that his petition was filed 3 business days before the deadline, without any supporting information or documentation. And as I mentioned, only after abandoning your recent litigation efforts to avoid NCAA sanctions. That does not provide a basis for the league to alter those plans. So, yeah, it goes on. The petition provides no information regarding the basis for or timing of the NCAA's decision, and so on and so forth. It says that they declared you permanently ineligible and based on a sustained pattern of improper gambling activity during your college career at 3 different universities. So this was from the NFL's general counsel of the management council. And so, yeah, the petition, it does go on to say, also does not demonstrate accountability for your conduct or indicate whether or how you would adhere to the league's rules and policies governing the integrity of competition. Instead, even after receiving notice of the NCAA's decision rescinding your college eligibility in May, you sought to avoid the consequences of that determination through litigation rather than accepting responsibility for your actions. And the final thing here, and you pursued entry into the NFL only after abandoning those efforts, which I kind of touched on there at the beginning. So that was more language than I was planning on. But, man, does it hit you right in the chest as far as what the NFL had to say. And they were very clear in their messaging. And, yes, clearly they don't want a part of Brendan Sorsby right now, but their answer isn't, hey, Brendan, you're not allowed. It's just, we're not holding a draft. So yeah, you can't get drafted.
It's one of the lines that's getting a lot of attention. You sought to avoid the consequences of that determination through litigation rather than accepting responsibility for your actions. As you mentioned, that's the one getting a lot of attention. And in the end now, there are also comments that he's not a part of the NFL Players Association because he hasn't been drafted. He's not a part of it yet. But the NFLPA, will they touch this? That remains to be seen as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Jeffrey Kessler's already barking a little bit, and we'll see who else jumps into the fray. But good luck with the NFL lawyers, and good luck challenging their system as opposed to what you dealt with the NCAA, where the rules were a lot less clear, far more in the gray area, and some things that you could kind of try to work around. And you successfully did as far as getting an injunction. As we widely talked about. I don't know how successful those same types of efforts will be against the high-powered, high-money lawyers the NFL has at their disposal, not to mention that they are a single solid entity. It's not all these fractured different judgments from different judges across the country making different decisions on similar stories. So, yeah, I think we're potentially in store for a pretty interesting legal battle. Maybe not. We'll see if Jeffrey Kessler actually reads the rules of the CBA and realizes I don't have much leg to stand on here, actually, or maybe he thinks that he does. But this is the latest news, and I kept saying along the way that the supplemental draft, I didn't bog down on the point, but I did make sure to mention pretty much every time we brought it up of it's not a given he's getting into the supplemental draft. It's not a given because the NFL can choose to not hold a draft. They can choose to just not hold it in general. They can also rightfully point out the various reasons why they're not interested in the Brendan Sorsby sweepstakes right now. And so that's the path that they've elected. And so now Brendan Sorsby and Jeffrey Kessler will try to go fight the NFL or take their ball and go a different route. I've already seen don't want to get the spring leagues all confused. I believe it was the UFL's head guy in charge already had a photoshopped Brendan Sorsby picture saying basically welcoming him to the UFL. So they don't care. The UFL's yeah, bring it on. And I'm sure, that would actually make a lot of sense for them to be interested in a guy like Brendan Sorsby, integrity issues aside. But other than that, not a lot of options for him out there right now. So the courtroom's probably where we're headed back to.
Albert Breer, who covers the NFL, one note, and then Ren Baker joins us. He goes, I can't remember the NFL ever denying a player entry into the supplemental draft. They've let guys in ruled ineligible because of drugs, Josh Gordon, NCAA rule breaking, Terrell Pryor, and grades, Ahmad Brooks. And over, clearly the NFL is drawing a line right here in the sand with Brendan Sorsby. We are now joined by West Virginia Director of Athletics, Ren Baker. He joins us on 365 Sports after what has been a hell of a run with West Virginia baseball, country roads, and so much more. And I need to get into eventually your pasta meal that I have been given some heads up. Ren, thank you very much for your time. It just seems like no matter what, that every day in college athletics, there is something legal, something lawsuit, something. And is that just going to be the way it is for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I think as long as we don't have any kind of, federal antitrust protection, we're going to be drug in the courtrooms, and the revenues around college athletics and the viewership continues to grow. And so where there's money, and there's a case to be made, I'm sure lawyers will continue to follow. So, the best that we can do is to try to establish rules that, that we're able to enforce where we can, and then to work around the ones that we can have. But my hope is that eventually people will see that we have to have some type of guardrails in a system.
Ren, how was Omaha? I mean, what was the experience like? Obviously, only one team. It ended up being Oklahoma last night, ends up the happiest of all at the end of the road there. But what an incredible run. What a lot of magic along the way, a lot of memories, I'm sure, created, and a lot of attention on West Virginia. How was that whole experience here these last few weeks?
Yeah, it was really an awesome experience. Omaha does a terrific job with the event. I had been I was AD at Northwest Missouri State, so I've been a couple of times just as a fan, unattached to any team. It's the first time I've ever been with my team, and I told people it's one of the few events that you go to that lives up to the billing and then some. We absolutely had a blast, and you all know because you follow all the Big 12 teams. So the Mountaineers, they show up, and they definitely did there, and it was just a great experience, and one that I know our fans, but certainly the players will cherish and remember for a long time.
I saw your tweet about the impressions of the song after wins in Morgantown through the regional, then super regional, and even at the College World Series. And now that song has been played by some teams at the World Cup. It has just like what they call, viral with the way people have accepted it.
Yeah, you know this. This is not something new. We play country roads after every home win. In every sport, and we have for a good 2+ decades. And so, I think for us, we were a little bit surprised. We know how special it is. I get chills every time. I get to do it, well in excess of 100 times a year. But there are special moments in those 2 Kentucky games in the regional were as intense and as back and forth and as crazy of an atmosphere as you'll ever see. But I think we were a little surprised at first at kind of the way America latched onto that. But I think it was a combination of how crazy the atmosphere was. You're at a time of the year where there's clean airspace. There's not as much stuff going on. And so for me, I think it was just really special that the rest of the world got to see the pride that West Virginians and alumni of WU take in singing that song after wins and in the state and in our program. And so it's a great song. Everybody loves it. And when you have this job, I have people that send me country roads from Amsterdam and Belgium and, all over the world. Anytime it's played, I'll have somebody shoot a live video and then just text it to me, friends as they travel around the world, in karaoke bars and no telling where. It was very, very unique. And I remember when it got to 35 million views there a day or two after the regional, I thought, wow, that's really impressive. And then last week, between digital and traditional media streams, views and impressions, it was well in excess of 150 million. And so you can't buy that kind of publicity. That's good for our baseball program. It's good for our athletic program. It's good for our university, and it's good for the state. And we were very excited about it.
Ren, you've been you're not brand new anymore. You're settled in at this point, but it feels like just yesterday we were talking to you and you're there at West Virginia, and it's crazy how time flies by. And I was just curious, as you get ready to end another year and you don't get much of a breather, but you reflect on what you've accomplished this year with baseball going to Omaha, and obviously rifle with the national championship, women's basketball conference championship. I mean, everything else that's been going on over the last year. Just where do you think about where you are? How do you go about reflecting on those things, and just how much energy do you feel around West Virginia right now?
Yeah, I have great pride in our student athletes' accomplishments and what they've been able to do. As you know, the world is changing every day for our coaches, and we've got an unbelievable group of coaches, and they've done a really good job of adapting to this new world. And it's not fun. It's challenging. For them, it means more time recruiting, more work days. Now they're also part-time general managers, but they've really done a great job. And I think we've really, in our department, instead of trying to complain or just talk about what we don't like, we've tried to just say, hey, we're going to operate with the parameters as they are today. We're going to rely on our grit and determination, the values that are important to our state, and we're going to go out and we're going to make the best of it. And we've continued to, I think, every year better position ourselves to compete in this new world, and that's our goal. Is every year we want to get a little bit better at adapting to more transient rosters and the ever-growing NIL and rev share world in that space. And I think our coach has done a great job. So you take a lot of pride in that. You take a few moments to reflect on it, but you don't take very many because you got to get back to work before next year. So, I'm excited as we head into the fall. Our football recruiting class was the best it's been in a long time. Men's basketball recruiting class was very, very good, both portal and high school. And so we're excited about what those two sports bring. And then our Olympic sports are probably having their best period of success in our entire history. And so, I think we've found a way to establish ourselves on solid footing in a world that's ever changing.
Ren, we started the show with the decision by the NFL, letter to Brendan Sorsby about the supplemental draft. I know that there's still ongoing a lawsuit with the Big 12 and I guess possibly Sorsby and or Texas Tech. So I'm not sure exactly how much you can discuss it, but my whole thing is the Big 12 Conference has been through some wars. They have been through aches and pains and division and arrogance and egos and not good enough or whatever, but they keep fighting back and they keep adding more schools. And it seemed like things were kind of settling down. In your opinion, are all 16 schools on the same page moving forward? And can people get over things that happen along the way?
Yeah, I think we can for sure. I mean, listen, in any relationship, you're going to have disagreements. And, sometimes the people that you're closest with, you disagree with the most. I mean, my brother and I, there's just two of us, and we used to fight every day. And I would be embarrassed to tell you how old we were the last fight that we had. So, I think you got to be, you have to be willing to understand that your perspective and your opinions are different. But as we move forward, 16 people pulling the rope in the same direction, generally, although we may have disagreements on specific issues, is what's going to help the conference overall. And so, I know from my perspective, I had a chance to say my piece on the issue. I know our president did as well. We discussed it with board members on our campus, and and ultimately, you reach a resolution with the Big 12, and I listened closely to as Texas Tech articulated their thoughts on it. And I know that my colleagues did as well. And, that's what leadership and debate and those kind of things are about. And I think all of us now have to be prepared to put that behind us and move forward the best way we can.
Not talking about that specifically, like in the details of it, but in general, was it kind of amazing to you? Like it was amazing to a lot of us to see something kind of bring together college sports for the first time in a while, because it seems like everybody's got their opinion that goes 10 different ways. But on this particular thing, it was kind of strange in a good way to see almost like a unifier that everybody thought, no, kind of along the same lines.
Yeah. I think most of us, I'll just say this, in that specific situation, I truly had heartfelt feelings for somebody who has an addiction to gambling. I have close family members who've battled that, and so but I do think there was major concern about what the kind of precedent that would set for college sports when we move forward. And so there was a fairly unified viewpoint of, what kind of penalties that he should or shouldn't have. But I think the biggest thing is it unified everybody in understanding that if college athletics could potentially not be able to enforce that rule, then we really are. Some people think that we are crying foul, but that everything's fine. And I think everybody had their eyes open to know if you can't enforce that, you really are at a place where you can't enforce anything. And so I think that will ultimately be good. And so I wouldn't say that I would stop short of saying that being unified on an issue when it involves a young person is a good thing. I don't know that I would go there, but I would say being unified with the understanding that there is not a rule that can't be challenged in this system we have, where people can go to a friendly jurisdiction or pass a state law that could preempt some kind of ruling. I think it's important that everybody's eyes was open to know there really isn't a rule that can't be challenged in the environment that we currently have.
Was that meeting initially a couple of weeks ago as tense as we were told, that a lot of anger released and maybe a few other things released? And did that allow everyone to kind of clear the air?
I thought the conversation in our meeting, although I'll keep the details of it private because I think that's important that we can come in there and express it. But I thought people were respectful, and I thought people were candid. They were honest, but I did not feel like that it was necessarily contentious towards any individual. And I thought everybody on there was respectful and fairly eloquent in being able to express their viewpoints on it. And so, based on some of the recollections or the what I've seen in the media, no, I thought it was healthy dialogue and respectful dialogue, and ultimately. We ended in a good place in terms of just being able to say, hey, we don't all agree on the exact resolution of this issue, but we can agree to have a healthy respect for each other.
So we're all going to descend on Frisco here in a few weeks. It's just about that time for media days, and I know we'll see Brett Yormark walking around and everybody else for that matter. Ren, how do you kind of feel about the state of the Big 12 as we move forward? What are the most pressing issues in your eyes that you and your colleagues are facing, and just kind of how do you feel that everybody's there's some new faces, of course, but a lot of familiar faces. Just sort of what does the path forward look like in your mind, and sort of what's the feeling in the air moving forward, particularly right now?
Well, I think we're really excited about where the conference is. I mean, now that we've had a full year with all 16 members, and we're starting to see new faces and new programs emerge, and some of the traditional programs are having success, and so I think we're all starting to get a feel for each other, feel for our way. We know which hotel to stay at when we go places. I think the competitiveness of the league from top to bottom is really compelling, and it's something that we're proud of, and I think America is enjoying watching the games and seeing how competitive from a week-to-week basis from top to bottom. I think we probably have the most competitive conference. And then, I think the focus for all of us is how can we continue to get better, and really how can we continue to grow our TV viewership? Because when we have our TV agreements coming up at the end of the decade, we want to be able to grow that revenue, maximize that revenue as much as we possibly can. So I know that's at the front of the mind of our commissioner, and I know that's at the front of mind for our membership. And so we pretty well start and end every meeting and every get together talking about how can we grow our brand, how can we grow our engagement, how can we grow our viewership, and that'll continue, I would imagine, to be a priority.
All right. What is the Renfredo that is on the menu across the state and exploding with popularity on the menus in West Virginia?
So as you guys know, because you've been here and you followed it, we have a really, really large Italian population. That's the whole really start of the pepperoni roll, which we're known for, was Italian immigrants as they came in to work the coal mines. That was a snack that their wives would make for them that was cheap and filling, and it has hung around all these years. And so lots of great Italian food here in this part of the country. When I love Italian food, but as I've gotten older, I'll be 48 this summer, Smokey. So not as young as I used to be. Red sauce gives me a little indigestion. So a few years ago at Grozzo's in Kansas City, I ordered chicken parm. And I got, instead of spaghetti with meat sauce on the side, I got fettuccine Alfredo on the side. But I went ahead and got red sauce on the chicken. And the next time I went in, I just said, "Hey, let's just put Alfredo on the chicken too." And so I kind of created that dish that I would just order anywhere that they would make it. Tony Caridi, our play-by-play guy, is full-blood Italian. He considers himself to be the sheriff of all Italian cuisine. And so I ordered that with him around, and he was just absolutely aghast at the disrespect that I would show to a traditional Italian cuisine. And so they, on their Three Guys podcast, joked about that some. Well, in West Virginia, we don't have a lot going on other than the Mountaineers at certain times of the year. And so that became a debate, and now people are ordering it. It's on restaurant menus. It's become much of a bigger deal. In fact, Alvario's here in town. Not only can you get the traditional and chicken and all kinds of stuff. So it's just a fun little thing that we started, and Tony and I like to go back and forth about it. But I have found, like, Italian folks, they're not a big fan. And Tony let me know that in Italy, Alfredo's not even a thing. It's not even an option. So, but it's become a debated topic around the state, much to my surprise, Smokey.
Yeah.
Are they calling it the Ren? Is that
the Renfredo?
Renfredo. Yeah,
Renfredo. I was confused about the Frito part. Yeah,
and I'm not going to.
If you were to just go on your phone and Google it, there's an AI answer to it right now. Okay. So it's really become a debated topic. That, I mean, I told Tony, all I'm trying to do is order food for me. He can order for him. I don't know why he gets so bent out of shape about it, but no, it's really a healthy back and forth, and it's become a fun topic for us as we go across the state and do caravans and those kind of things. Everybody has an opinion one way or the other.
No, that's very cool. That's a fun story, and looking forward to see where that continues to go. The Renfredo. I know Pat White was on staff last year, but I saw the details coming out on specifically when you guys are going to honor him, the jersey retirement, and all that. And I don't even know if I have a question, Ren. I just have so many incredible memories of watching Pat White growing up, and just West Virginia and some of the great moments. But just how fun is an AD role when there's so many serious things going on all the time? Is it to just also do some really cool stuff like that, like jersey retirements or honoring legends, so on and so forth? I think that's going to be pretty fun, him getting his flowers for the WV faithful.
Yeah, man, that team, I mean, he and Steve Slayton and that group of players were so electric, and really we still live off of some of the brand that they established. You and I both watched those teams. I mean, that's when the first iteration of the video game was around, and I used to play with them. It was like a cheat code, and you couldn't stop them. And Pat has been in our Hall of Fame, one of the things when I first got here, a lot of people felt like his jersey number should be retired, and we had a process that didn't really, it had to be a college or pro Hall of Famer. And Pat had an unbelievable college career, probably should be a college Hall of Famer, but to be a college football Hall of Famer, you had to be first team All-American. And it just worked out that year that he wasn't a first team All-American. And so we went back and revisited that criteria a little bit and said, hey, there's probably some other avenues that are to trigger this. Our committee did, and I give them all the credit for kind of going through and revisiting that. And it didn't open the door too wide because you want it to be an exclusive honor. But listen, he's a generational player. He was responsible for some of the best memories in our history, won 4 bowl games here, just had an incredible career. And it was really special. And, you just add to the fact he's working here now, he's working for his coach. And then, the reason why it kind of the vote was taken by our committee probably 6-8 weeks ago, and I was waiting for the right time to announce it. And when we won the regional, Pat McAfee had called me. That was on a Tuesday, and that Wednesday morning he called me, wanted to come into town and watch the game on Friday. And so I got he and Rich together and said, hey, this might be a great and perfect opportunity to roll this out with Pat. And so McAfee was here in town, was a part of he and Rich together, kind of let Pat White know that. And it was a special moment, and we're going to have a great time honoring not just one of the all-time great WU players, but I think one of the all-time great dual threat quarterbacks in the history of college football.
Great. Couple more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be, I don't think I said, that's the season opener against Coastal Carolina. Officially announced that's when you guys will be retiring Pat White's jersey, and totally agree on all fronts. You mentioned McAfee. I think we've asked you about him before, but is he just kind of the gift that keeps on giving from a PR standpoint and an attention standpoint? I mean, he's the biggest face in American sports media, arguably, right now, and he obviously loves him some Mountaineers. He just seems like, if I don't know, like I can't even imagine the media dollars if you were to actually try to calculate the type of exposure he's given his alma mater there.
Yeah, I actually did a podcast earlier today with Front Office Sports too, and that actually came up. They said, have you ever like set to contemplate or calculate what that would be worth? And I honestly can't, because he has such a massive following across certainly the sports audience, but really just entertainment in general, and his unapologetic love for his alma mater, but also for our state, and it is really special and unique. And I'll tell you, like, it's a true love. Like the conversation I had with him that Wednesday morning, my day started with him. First of all, one of the unique things with Pat is he doesn't do a phone call; he FaceTime. So if you try to call him, he's going to he'll send the call to voicemail and then FaceTime you back. And so it's FaceTime that Wednesday morning, and he had watched that Tuesday night regional game where we won it in the bottom of the 10th, I believe it was, in a walk-off, and singing Country Roads, the viral moment. And he was like, dude, I got to come. And he's like, hopefully you play Saturday or late Friday. But it was Friday at 1 o'clock when we got the assignment. And I said, hey, you could do your show from here and go straight to the game. He's like, no, I'm going to cancel the show. And so he came, and he wanted to, he didn't want to sit in a suite. He wanted to sit out in the stands. And if you were watching that, there was a line of people to get autographs and all that kind of stuff. And he was very kind and gracious, but he was just having a great time drinking a couple of beers, watching the Mountaineers, calling balls and strikes and all of that stuff. But he loves WVU, and he's a champion, whether, it's women's basketball, his former coach in the sport of football, men's basketball, whatever it is, he loves WVU. And so anytime that, and I've told him this, we're grateful and thankful for, the way that he brags on the state and on the institution. And anytime he wants to be here, that is a massive PR win for us. And we will roll out the red carpet. I told him I'll send a plane to get you anytime, anywhere that you want to come here. So, we're grateful and thankful. And, he's just how blessed and fortunate are we that he's one of us, and that we get to enjoy the ride that he's created. And I'll just say this lastly for him. An incredibly hard worker. People would be amazed at how much of his show and his business, the enterprise he's created, he does and he plans. And when he brought his show here before the 2 years ago, when we were opening up against Penn State, hosting them here, and Fox was doing the game, but he brought his radio show here on Friday. His dad drives the truck. It's this massive enterprise, and yet it's this small family operation with Pat and a few buddies doing most of it. So it's really incredible what he's built, and I have a lot of admiration and respect for his work ethic and just how he goes about doing what he's done to create it.
Just a quick answer from you, because I know you have plenty of things on your plate. When do you start digging dirt for the press box expansion? When does the first pipe go in the ground or whatever?
Yeah, so it's a $156 million project. We're past the $100 million mark in terms of money raised for it. Our hope is we can raise it all without any long-term debt, so that'd be a big boost to our annual budget. But our plan is to start at the conclusion of this upcoming season. So the last game of the 26th season, we would start demolition. We would have to do some temporary things for the 27th season, so we would be without a press box, but we'll do our best to accommodate everybody we need to accommodate, and then it would open for the 28th season. And so that's going to be a big project for us and something that's long overdue, and really will go a long ways towards helping us be able to grow our revenue streams.
By the way, we have West Virginia viewers. They love you. They love what's going on there. And one of them wanted to bring up the Jerry West jersey in the background, the 44. That's pretty damn cool, right there with all the collections and memorabilia you have in your office.
Yeah, no, I will tell you, being able to honor Jerry West was really one of the great opportunities of my career. And I got a chance to talk to Jerry a couple of times on the phone. Never got a chance to meet him in person because we only had a little less than a year before he passed. But I get a chance to talk to Johnny quite a bit. Johnny lives in Vegas, so he was at a bunch of those games at the Crown, and it's just such a great family. And I'll tell you, that's another individual. You go back and watch any interview of Jerry West ever, and he couldn't say enough about West Virginia and WVU and what it meant to him. Maybe one of the greatest basketball players in history, certainly one of the greatest sports executives in history. And when you combine those two, nobody was more accomplished than him. And yet he gives so much credit and love and admiration and appreciation for his home state. And that's one thing about people that either went to school here or from here. They might move away, but their heart never leaves. And they always take great pride in what goes on here. And so it's an honor to have a position and a role like this at this institution. And it was a great honor to be able to be a part of honoring Jerry and doing those throwbacks.
I will not confirm or deny who told me about the Renfredo, or even gave me opinions on it. I will not bring it up. You know who it was, but I'm not going to mention him. Hey, man, had a great time with you today. As always, Ren, we appreciate it. Will we see you in Frisco?
Oh, I will be there and look forward to seeing you guys. And, let's go Big 12, and certainly let's go Mountaineers.
Thank you. That's Ren Baker, Director of Athletics at West Virginia, on many things from McAfee to Pat White to all of what's going on with the university, the school song after wins, etc., expansion. And also, I think, answered a few questions about where is the temperature within the Big 12, because you hear and read stories about sources, this and that. But it sounds like from Ren Baker's point of view, people had a chance to say what they wanted to say, let their feelings be known, some more heated than others, and now they hope to move together as all 16.
Yeah, I mean, really good stuff there with West Virginia's Director of Athletics. So thanks to Ren for being so generous with his time, knowing they've got a lot going on right now. And, we covered, I think, pretty much all the hot button things. So hope the West Virginia fans and even non-Mountaineers enjoyed that as well. But good to get his thoughts as much as he could give them on the Big 12 Texas Tech situation. I think he answered that very concisely and carefully, but not in like an overly careful way, but just, made sure to get his message across without taking shots or trying to do anything further to damage, like the anonymous, well, we might not be done with them just yet kind of quotes from last week. We didn't have any of that added on to the conversation here. And I think that's the right play, as I made very clear yesterday. It's time for everybody to kind of pick up and move forward. And it sounds like that's what they're going to do. So that's encouraging, because you just don't know, especially when there are such heated feelings and something's been under a microscope as much as that story was. But yeah, it sounds like the air's been cleared. Everybody kind of knows where things stand, and everybody's going to lock arms and move forward. And I'm sure we haven't heard the last of it. Just like today, there's another update on the Sorsby side of things that we'll get back into. But yeah, there's a lot going on in Morgantown right now. That's great. And hell, if that Pat McAfee contract that's rumored is true, then I think build a couple press boxes with that easily. But no, he's been an incredible ambassador for them. They've had a really good sports year, and happy to see it. He's a guy that I really like, and I'm rooting for them to do well. Love the fan base. Shout out to Coos as always, and go Ears.
And S. Michael DeHart and others.
S. Michael DeHart, of
Joey
course.
Foster, appreciate you. Thank you to Ren Baker. Thanks to Michael Frugel for helping make that. By the way, Oklahoma State AD Chad Wyberg will join us at 4:30. Fletcher Like set us up with Houston's AD Eddie Nunez for Thursday. And next week, we get Graham Rossini, the AD at Arizona State. So we got a nice run getting ready to start.
Yeah. Why were you saying Frito for Fredo?
Yeah, no,
That's what confused
Alfredo,
me.
because without the AL in front of it, the sauce in front of it.
Fredo Corleone.
And I'm not a big fan. I know you're not really either. Alfredo is a little bit too heavy for me. The spaghetti sauce is just fine, but Alfredo can be a little bit too much as far as for my stomach and for me.
It depends on where it's from for me. I mean, just that's mostly what it depends. I don't like a ton of red sauce either, or marinara. So I think it just kind of depends on what you're getting and where you're getting it from when it comes to most things. But that sounds interesting, the Renfredo. But yeah, you had me thrown for a little. The Renfredo, what is that?
Yeah, hell.
No, it's got a dish named after him now. So things are really going well up there with West Virginia and all the success that they're having. So I think now the curious part is whether Rich Rod can take that ball and run with it.
We'll find another couple of guys that played quarterback like he had back in the day.
Well, he doesn't have that right now with Hawkins or Fox, but I think he's got a couple of guys who are not diamonds in the rough, but that with a little bit of polishing can definitely shine and do some good things for them. I think you got some definite athletic ability back there, and curious to see kind of how he goes about using them. I think Hawkins will probably be the starter, but we saw a lot of Scotty Fox last year, so I would anticipate we see a bunch of those guys at least early on. They got a big game against Virginia early in the schedule. They'll have some challenges, but I've got them as a bowl team. That's where I've got them. You've want a more specific answer on exactly where I got them. Then you can go check out the video where I predict their season, but they've got some challenging games for sure. So I'm fascinated to see. That might be the one that I most regret in my prediction, because I think I'm probably higher on them than most. So that might be the one at the end of the year when I decide to circle back and go back over my predictions and I go, oh, that was close, or that was perfect. That might be the one that I'm either like, boom, I told you fools, or I'm a fool. And I was totally off on West Virginia being as good as I expected them to be. Not Big 12 good, mind you, but you can watch the video for yourself. I do anticipate a postseason for them at this point.
But
it'll be close.
You released another video. Did they go up today, or is it tomorrow?
That's been out for like 3 or 4 days.
Okay. All right.
So,
all right. When we come back, we'll get back to some of the headlines of the day. But we do have guests, including, I mentioned, Chad Wyberg, also Shahan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports, John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, and Craig with Off the Radar. We do appreciate you. Please, if you're in or watching us on the YouTube channel, hit the like button, because we have much more to come. This is the SMOAK Show on 365 Sports. Have you heard about the new IRA, Insured Retirement Advantage? This, if you are, I don't know what the term actually would be, younger, I'm going to say maybe 40 and under. Insured Retirement Advantage is a solution for younger, high-income clients, small business owners who want to save money for retirement, and is a strategy designed to provide the opportunity for guaranteed tax-free income, retirement income, legacy protection, and capital efficiency, all without needing ultra-high net worth status to qualify. So if you have been doing well, you make pretty good money, around $150,000 or more a year, you own a small business, and things are going pretty smoothly, but you feel like you haven't yet started to pack things away, contact North Star Funding Partners with a new IRA, Insured Retirement Advantage. Call them at 623-256-6902. There's the number on the screen. Or go to NorthstarFundingPartners.com.
Broker is your Lennox premier dealer. Right now, qualified buyers can make no payments and get no interest financing for 12 months on a new Lennox home comfort system. Conditions apply. Call Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating Specialists for details and a free estimate.
The reason that their service is outstanding because the people they have working, behind the desk, and the folks working out in the garage, taking care of business. And they give you a date, they give you a time, and they're spot on, and they're professional, they take care of it, and they answer all your questions, and they're fun to work with.
Like Alan Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Alan Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Bold,
are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
This 3 o'clock hour is brought to you by QC Kinetics. Feel better, move better, live better with regenerative medicine using your body's own healing abilities for natural pain relief. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. With locations in Dallas and Houston at QCkinetics.com. It's time for the Smoke Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and David Smoke.
Congratulations to the red-hot Oklahoma Sooners baseball team. What a run, winning the championship and dominating North Carolina, putting that thing out. I mean, that pretty much was over by about the 4th or 5th inning. 13-2, a dominant win, and what a run for a team that ended the season like with no gas left in the tank. Craig?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very cool. Congratulations to Oklahoma baseball. As a fan, I'm excited and very cool to see that for the first time since 94. Been a really long time, and it's weird how you get older. Like I was like 15, 20 years. Nope, that's way longer than that. And here we are 30 years later, and a little over 30 years later, they're winning another title. And I just thought of my Uncle Terry, who played at Oklahoma, Terry Jolly, back in the day, and all the connections to the program that I've felt like through him in so many ways. And so I know he's beaming out in Naples, Florida right now. Mm-hmm. And so is the rest of the Jolly family. But yeah, they went on a hell of a postseason run. I mean, just one of those teams. I think you almost open the door to the question of like, and I've seen this in regards to some other stuff of like, is the best team the one that's still standing, or it's like the team that gets hottest or whatever? Well, I mean, last night they were clearly the best team. This postseason, they were definitely the hottest team. And yeah, there's nobody that's gonna say anything other than like the best team won this thing at the end of it. Now, regular season wise, UCLA on top for the longest time. They didn't make a peep in the postseason. So what a crazy run that just was totally unforeseen in so many ways. If you thought, hey, this team's pretty good, they can get to the postseason, or thought they'd get to Omaha. But yeah, they're late in the year. I don't think there's too many, if any, thinking this team's about to go on this historical, hellacious run, and they're about to go rip up the postseason, and they're going to be standing tall at the end of it. But that's exactly what they did. They got a lot of fun players, a lot of really good players, and hell of a coaching job. Just, awesome to see it all.
Who was the pitcher that came in? It was getting a little bit, because you knew that when you get to this point, everyone's arms are like just gone. They're gone, and they got on. North Carolina had some struggles with the strike zone, and then OU just started get a lot of base hits, not the home runs like they normally do. Eventually got the 3-run homer. The pitcher who came in the game mid-game and just dominated, he shut them. You talk about knocking it and nailing it down. If North Carolina thought that perhaps they could get deeper into the bullpen, they did not. Yeah. I don't know. I was asking you. That's okay. So let me tell you what they did along the way from the time they lost to by the time they lost to LSU in the opening game of the SEC postseason tournament, they beat the number 2 team, Georgia Tech, twice, 15th ranked 15 seed Kansas twice, 7th seed Alabama, 3rd seed Georgia twice, and 5th seed North Carolina twice on their run. They've won gymnastics and softball and other things as well, women's basketball. But this is their first national championship in baseball since the early 90s. They also won it back in the 50s. Their football title, Craig, in 2000, they won with a score of?
Oh, gosh.
Beat Florida State.
Yeah, I remember now. You asked me that any other time, and I'd rip it off.
What was the score last night?
I don't
the baseball game.
I don't remember. 13-2.
That was the score when they beat Florida State in 2000 with Bob Stoops.
Yeah, gotcha.
Just a little nugget. Not a big deal, but a nugget. And now the SEC. Paxton, who's a huge Texas fan, sent me a note that he had just basically turned the game off. I said, did you turn it off because it was a blowout? And then being a Texas fan, watching Oklahoma do what they were doing, especially with how surprising it was. But this is impressive. Since 2019, here are the teams that have won the College World Series. Vanderbilt, then Mississippi State because COVID knocked out 2020. Ole Miss, who beat OU. LSU, Tennessee, LSU, and then Oklahoma winning this year. 7 consecutive College World Series champions come from the SEC.
Well, I mean, they've got just as much money as everybody. They're in a baseball hotbed, and I think this is what's to be expected moving forward. And I don't see this really breaking all that much in the future. I think when you've got the disposable income to go and invest, and you also have the passion and the talent bed and all of those things as well, the history for a lot of these schools. I mean, all that amounts to being in the running and having multiple teams in the running every year. And I think every other league has a team or two that they feel like are pretty good. But yeah, right now and for a while now, the SEC has been the cream of the crop. They've had the best teams and they've proven that, much like they did in football for forever and ever. They've now been doing that not as long, but for a pretty significant period in baseball. So let those same stories about who's going to knock them off their pedestal, and eventually the Big Ten's kind of done that in football. But is anybody going to be able to do that in baseball? I think it's going to be a lot more challenging because people are wanting to invest in football the same way across the board. Whereas in baseball, you kind of got to pick and choose. Are you more of a basketball school? Are you going to be you know what I mean? Like baseball, like how much are you going to put towards that? How much do your donors love the game of baseball and want to put towards that? Do they have the donors like a Mississippi State does or a Texas or so on? Yeah, they're just very proud baseball brands, and it shows in the atmospheres, it shows in the postseason performances, and it definitely shows right now in national titles. So yeah, I don't think that's changing anytime soon. I'm sure somebody will jump up and win one in the next couple of years just because, but the SEC is where you're looking for the national champions in baseball right now, no doubt about it. You start with them and then you move outward, and sure, UCLA can be dominant and really good throughout most of the regular season, but postseason's a different animal, man. And they had a lot of representation in Omaha. They had a lot of representation throughout, and yeah, it's just crazy to see how, I guess, not dominant they've been, but really the difference in teams. And that's kind of like what happened with football. Everybody pointed to Saban in Alabama. It's like, yeah, well, it was also Urban in Florida, and it was also LSU's different variations.
Saban and LSU and Alabama.
Well, yeah. Saban and the different variations I'm referring to, like LSU with Ed Orgeron as well. And so then you look at Auburn, and you look around, it's like a bunch of teams are winning. Same things happening here. Oklahoma, LSU, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. I mean, that's incredible. And does Oklahoma win this if they're not in the SEC? Like, how battle prepared, but also how financed were they?
Their record was 14 and whatever. They were 2 games under 500. In another conference, they might have a better record. That doesn't mean they would, but being the 11th or 12th team picked, you're not going to get that in any other conference.
No, but they'd have been battle tested and have been as hardened as they were playing in that league. I think that undoubtedly did them some good in their run here. So yeah, really cool to see. Not gonna celebrate it too much because I don't want to pretend like I'm some massive OU baseball fan that was there for the entire ride and living and dying on every pitch, but definitely was living in the drama these last couple of weeks and enjoying it. And my family texts and all that were excited about their game last night, and just the flooding of text messages once it was over, which officially it wasn't over till later, but it was over pretty early on, as you said, as they jumped on the board and just piled on the run. So I didn't put together the 13-2 almost in my head when I'm looking back. I know that in my head. If you were just asking me that randomly, I would be like, yeah, 13. But then when you asked me that for some reason here, I don't know if it's being on camera or what, but also I was sitting there, I was like, that's not a football score. But yeah, it sure as hell was a football score. It was a national championship score against Florida State. And so it is weird that also ended up being 13-2, the final for this national championship.
You know where I got
Pretty
that?
weird how that works.
I saw Bob Stoops tweet.
Yeah. I could see where he would want to bring that up.
If anyone would remember, it would be
I've
him.
said it to Paul like 50 times in the past before about 13-2. Just to rile him up, which isn't hard, but I didn't put that together. Didn't see that tweet, but pretty weird how the universe works sometimes that would be the same score.
Oklahoma won the Big 12 in 22 when they beat Texas, and prior to that, they won it a couple of other 2 or 3 times. Now, one note about Arkansas. No, they weren't in the tournament, but I saw this, and then Shahan Jeyarajah around the corner. Arkansas was on the verge of winning the 2018 College World Series. They dropped a fly ball. From that point on, tell me which of these states are in some way connected to the border of Arkansas. Vanderbilt in Tennessee, yes. Mississippi State, of course, in the state of Mississippi, yes. Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee, LSU, Tennessee, LSU, and there's a neighbor to the west of them named Oklahoma, the state. They have had all the teams connected to their state, other than Missouri, I think, in the top, that have all gone on to win the World Series since that terrible moment when they dropped the foul ball in 2018.
It hasn't been a whole lot of fun, but I mean, Arkansas has had some good basketball moments, but it does feel like they're a team that just kind of has the ball removed before they go to kick it, Charlie Brown style, almost. Sometimes is kind of how it feels, that not a lot breaks their way, I guess you could say. And that's interesting. That's definitely some Twitter thing somebody pulled, huh? It sounds like it. But yeah, that's weird how that's worked out for them. That sucks. That sucks for Arkansas fans, I guess. But you're surrounded by, that's part of being in a state that's or part of being in the SEC is you're all interconnected. Like that's the whole thing, is you're all geographically connected, and you're also in a league where baseball is king, and they're the kings of baseball and have been going on for a few years now. So that's not worked out well for them.
All right, so that's that, and I'm thrilled for Skip Johnson, the Oklahoma baseball coach. Used to be a JUCO coach at Navarro and Corsicana. Was on the staff with Augie Garrido at Texas, and when Garrido decided to retire, there were thoughts Skip Johnson might be next, but David Pierce got the job, who's now at Rice. Pierce was at Tulane and did well, but Skip Johnson does win the College World Series for Oklahoma. When we come back, Shahan Jeyarajah, Chad Wyberg, Oklahoma State Director of Athletics, Off the Radar, and John McClain. Lot of information and stories and news and guests to get to. This is 365 Sports. QC Kinetics. What are the things about QC Kinetics? It doesn't just make you feel better. It doesn't just get rid of aches and pains. It gets rid of them. They're gone. Like the ones that I had, struggling over 4.5 years or so in my right hip and my lower back. QC Kinetics is a treatment. You can get a free consultation. They have locations in both Dallas and Houston. And eventually, here in a minute, we'll put the numbers on the screen. Utilizing your own natural biologics, platelet-rich plasma, also stem cells, your body's own elements and own stuff, your blood to heal yourself by going to QC Kinetics. I went and visited them, free consultation in September. I have had 3 treatments, and I haven't had one in a long time, and I haven't needed one in a long time. I get up, and there's not that tug, that ache in my hip. I now run or jog, and I have now almost every day for about 2.5 months, from a mile, 2 or 3. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but it's nice to sweat and have time to just kind of myself think through things. And on top of that, I feel better. It's QC Kinetics in Dallas and Houston. Here are the numbers. In Dallas at 972-972-8610. Houston, 713-913-5285. Hip, shoulders, ankles, knees, wrist back where it might hurt and where it seems like it's never going to stop hurting, no matter what you've had before, whether it's injections that last for 2 or 3 weeks or a month or two. QC Kinetics will get rid of your pain. It has done that for me, and it feels good to feel good at QCkinetics.com.
It's in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Celebrate American value and American quality during the Red, White, and Blue sales event at Richard Carr.
Awards such as Best Interior, Total Quality, Reliability, and Best Resale Value. The Buick Envista turns heads at price points well below cars in the same category. Right now, save $2,000 on the already value priced 2026 Buick Envista. Plus, well-qualified buyers get 0.9% financing.
Drive American quality and get American savings during the Red, White, and Blue sales event at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Pepperoni Magnifico. Pepperoni Magnifico. Marco's Pepperoni Magnifico. Classic and crispy cut pepperoni, 3 melty cheeses, all on our fresh made dough. And starting at just $12.99 for a large, it's no wonder Marco's was named America's favorite pizza chain.
This 4 o'clock hour is brought to you by Stonewood Dental, your one-stop shop for your dental needs, specializing in teeth cleaning, fillings, crowns, sealants, root canals, IV sedation, extractions, implants, bridges, dentures, full mouth restorations, and bioaesthetic dentistry. Our priority is your comfort from the moment you walk through the front door. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. It's time for the Smoke Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and David Smoke.
Shahan Jayaraja, CBS Sports, joins us most every Tuesday, and he does today. And with Craig Smoke and David Smoke. Shahan, thank you very much for your time. It just seemed like right now, no matter what Brendan Sorsby does, if he gets out from under a rock or walks out the front door, there's something that hits him in the head. And today the news on the supplemental draft will not occur this summer. And so he really, unless there's some alternate league he's going to play in, will not play football until 2027.
Yeah, such a crazy situation, of course. And, you know, it's interesting, right? In the letter that was sent out to Sorsby's camp by the NFL, they did essentially say, like, look, you obviously stated that you had been ruled ineligible by Texas Tech, but you didn't provide very much in the way of supporting documentation. You didn't sort of take contrition as part of your statement. And, you know, I think that every individual move that Sorsby has tried to do through this process has some logic to it, but I think that it's really hard to look at the totality of what his strategy has been and think that it's necessarily been a good idea. You know, at the beginning, of course, he kind of comes out and says, I'm going to gambling rehab, all this sort of stuff. But I think that not taking that accountability from either the NCAA or the Big 12 makes this a little bit more of a complicated situation for NFL decision makers. And look, I mean, obviously at this moment, there's really one big bright red line that you cannot cross in athletics, and that's not gambling on your own games. And I think that most likely if Sorsby had kind of really from the start tried to act with contrition and tried to really make the case that he's working on trying to make this not an issue anymore, maybe this has a different result.
So, Shahan, on that front, we know Texas Tech was fighting back to a certain extent, and then obviously things changed, and the threats didn't go over very well from certain politicians, and that actually opened the door for the Big 12 to then where we are now, where Sorsby can't play in college football anymore. And then the end of the last week, there were sort of rumblings from some unnamed Big 12 officials that they're thinking like about maybe fining Texas Tech or trying to get some of their legal fees back, which I thought was just kind of ridiculous. Like, let sleeping dogs lie. Your point's been proven. You got what you wanted at the end. Let's move forward. What do you think about kind of the state of the Big 12 post Sorsby? Do you think they just move on? Do you think there's still drama to be had? How do you think kind of all that was handled, and especially the part about trying to even look at maybe even recouping some money from Texas Tech?
Yeah, I think that if I were the Big 12, like you said, I'd kind of let it go at this point. I mean, the reality of the situation is, again, like 15 of the 16 schools stood together and made their decision. And the Big 12, I think, was very decisive in how they approached it. And, you know, right now, I think that this gets to be, per se, a win for the Big 12, where, you know, Brett Yormark kind of expressed his power a little bit, and they expressed their togetherness. And, yeah, obviously, Texas Tech isn't happy with how this all went down. But I think that, again, I think that Texas Tech probably also recognizes that the Big 12 had no choice but to do what they've done. So, you know, look, if I'm the Big 12, I want this to be out of the news heading forward, right? I think that ultimately turning this into a separate legal battle doesn't really serve anybody particularly well. And so certainly, especially by the time that we're in Frisco on July 7th for Big 12 Media Days, if I'm the conference, I just don't want anybody to really be thinking about it anymore.
We had Ren Baker on earlier, and we discussed it in a couple of different parts of the interview. And it seemed like to me, he thinks, he didn't say this, but it sounds like to him that everybody got a chance to get all they wanted out, vent whatever, clear the air, decisions made where we are today. And it sounds like, I think he is expecting everybody to also move on and not allow this to linger, unless, of course, that comes from Lubbock, Texas.
No, I agree. And, you know, I've gotten the chance to speak to an athletic director or two in the Big 12 over the past couple of weeks. And like you said, I mean, this is an interesting time for the conference, because the reality is, like, a lot of the established power athletic directors are no longer there. Like, when you start talking about the ADs who have been there a very long time, you know, there's obviously Jamie Pollard at Iowa State, Gene Taylor at Kansas State, and even, of course, Kirby Hocutt at Texas Tech. But there's a lot of relative newcomers in the room, whether that be athletic directors who came over as part of realignment in the past couple of years, whether that be true newcomers like Fernando Lobo at Colorado and Doug McNamee at Baylor. So I think that this was a really good, you know, I don't want to call it a bonding experience, but, you know, I think that there was sort of this way where everybody could sit down and there was this big disagreement and they were able to work through it. So, yeah, I mean, I certainly don't have a ton of questions about what athletic directors want. I don't think that there's necessarily going to be a lot of appetite from at least other athletic directors to continue trying to punish Texas Tech. And so it's going to be more of a question of, you know, is Yormark, you know, ready to move on? And in my opinion, I think he will be.
So, Shahan, I know you went over your over-under for Big 12 wins a few weeks ago. I remember reading that article, and you're not convinced that Rich Rodriguez, just on the topic of WVU, since we were talking to Ren Baker, you're not of the opinion that they can flip the entire roster and that bringing in Michael Hawkins and everything is gonna save the day. I believe you have them under on their 5.5 wins. Just your thoughts on Rich Rod year 2, and kind of a peculiar case of trying to just turn everything over year by year and seeing what sticks and what works.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing, right? Is like, you know, because like you said, I think that I had them under 5.5 I probably have them right about 5, though. You know, this is a really unique situation, both from the West Virginia perspective and also, by the way, from the Rich Rod perspective. You know, Rich Rod is a coach who historically recruits lots of underclassmen and puts them through the ringer for 3 years until they're ready for prime time. And in this era, it's a little bit different because your roster's flipping a lot more than it would have in the past. And so, you know, it's been more of, again, trying to figure out, like, who are the guys who are going to stick behind? Who are the guys who are going to work through? And by the way, like, also with the timing of the last, when Rich Rod came in, I mean, he had to pull together a lot of players in a very short amount of time. And just to be frank, like, I think that he would probably tell you that some of the guys that he took on probably weren't players who were going to be part of the program long term. And so I think that this second class, the two things I'm looking at in both high school and transfer portal recruiting, I think that they've had access to a much higher level of player in year 2 than in year 1. I'm thinking, of course, like you mentioned, Michael Hawkins is a potential starting quarterback. Cam Cook coming over, who led the nation in rushing last year at Jacksonville State. You also have a player like Kevin Brown, an offensive lineman from Pennsylvania, who flipped to West Virginia at the last minute. So I think that the long-term planning of West Virginia has been fascinating. I think they've done a good job. The question for me, though, is, again, they've had 150 players walk through that program in 2 years. Can they find a really good 22 to go into action with?
Shahan, the NCAA taking another step, and you wrote about this for CBS Sports, the age-based 5-year eligibility rule. Man, there's a lot to unpack from this. I know you hit on some of the high points and the notable things in your article that people can read over at cbssports.com, but Cliff's Notes version, what kind of jumps out to you about the ramifications and repercussions and just what this looks like moving forward?
Well, I mean, I think that the most interesting part of it, if you just kind of want to think of a big picture, is like we're essentially going to be done with waivers. Like there's going to be no waiver process whatsoever for injuries or any of that sort of thing. That whole part of the NCAA process is essentially going to be gone because it's just going to be a 5-for-5. We're not going to have the of course kind of redshirt rule with 4 games that's applied in the past. I actually think it's going to be a bigger deal, by the way, for the non-football sports. Again, we have players who redshirted last year in college basketball or in other sports. They're not allowed to play a single snap. Now they have a full additional year of eligibility. So I think it's the right decision. I think it's the right decision to try to streamline the process from an NCAA perspective. I think it's a good idea to try to lessen the legal liability of granting waivers and ending up in situations like the Trinidad Jamblers case where somebody believes they should have gotten a waiver that they didn't get. And again, I think that the other piece too that's obviously in the past year or so has really come to the forefront is the college basketball international player bit, right? Where you have guys who are coming over who are full-on professional players who come in with, potentially 3-4 years of eligibility despite being in their mid-20s. So I think that all of these things make a lot of sense to me. I think that, again, like we are just at a point right now where eligibility had to be simplified for the NCAA to really have any chance of continuing it on. And I think that it's the right decision, though I expect there will be lawsuits to start.
Yeah, as soon as this thing was announced that it was passed today, I saw all sorts of attorneys or others reporting of attorneys, the one who represented Diego Pavia, Ryan Downton, saying that he already has a group of about 50 basketball players. Darren Heitner, who is someone that represents players in every way. He mentioned that there's a bunch. Ryan Mulvaney. So this is going to be interesting to see how quickly.
Oh, shocker! The lawyers are lining up. Oh,
how many of them? And I don't know how quickly these can be heard or whatever, but it does seem like that does make a lot of sense. 5 years, play 5 years, or if you can't play 3 because of injuries or whatever else, that's just the way it is. I think it's the senior class this year that is the one fighting it.
Yeah,
kind of like in COVID year when
they can't take advantage of it.
But
the thing is like Shahan,
you got to stop it somewhere.
It's got to stop somewhere. Yeah, exactly. Like somebody's going to have to just pay the price for this, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, again, look, I think that obviously it does suck for graduating seniors who would have loved another year, but I think that also, they signed up for college athletics knowing that they were signing up for a different system. So I don't think that you can make the case, for example, that, they should be granted this thing that they were never promised. The other thing too is like a lot of them, this obviously would only apply to players who were full 4-year players. Anybody who redshirted at any point, like, certainly wouldn't be privy to a lawsuit like this. Like, this is more of a college basketball issue, I would argue, than a college football one, where again, a lot more players redshirt. But obviously it's a weird situation in a lot of ways, but like Craig said, I mean, sometimes you just have to set the line at some point.
Well, you did a good job. If people want to check out some of the details of it, of laying it out there, like what this means in your article over on CBS Sports. I know you're a big NBA guy. You live in Dallas. You're a Bulls fan, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So tonight, number 4 overall pick, I just felt the need to ask you your thoughts heading into this one on what you would like to see for your Chicago Bulls later on this evening.
Well, at number 4, I think that anything could happen in the top 3. Anything could happen from like 5 on. I think 4 is going to be very simple. Caleb Wilson, the forward from North Carolina, is very likely going to be the pick there. Look, if you're Chicago, you have essentially nothing on your roster that needs to be precious, right? Like, obviously with Montes Buzelis, he's a player who can play the 3 or the 4. With Josh Giddey, he's a player who could play 1 through 3. So just draft best player available. That's going to be Caleb Wilson here. But for people down in Waco too, there's a lot of people mocking right now at number 15, where the Chicago Bulls have a 2nd pick. A lot of people mocking Cam Carr as potentially the pick there. So certainly I'd be excited to see that. I don't think that I've gotten one of my Baylor Bears on a Chicago Bulls roster quite as yet. So I'd love for that to change.
Shahan, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. I know you're a busy day. We appreciate you. When we get you, have a great week. We'll see you soon in Frisco.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Shahan Jararaja, CBS Sports. Thanks for his time. He couldn't be on the video link today. He said, I could do a cell phone, and Rez locked him in. And thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest times, cell phones were all we had and all we needed. And so, yeah, those still come in handy when you can't get on camera. Man, COVID really flipped the technology, didn't it? Where like just the before and after of being on the phone versus being on screen for various things is definitely shifted. But I'm talking about something that at this point was like 6 years ago. It's like, I remember just yesterday when that all happened.
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah. I actually had a client today, a sponsor, tell me, he goes, hey, can we meet? And I was like, I can't get there in time and get to where I need to be. He said, we can do a Zoom link.
Yeah, I mean, or you can just do FaceTime. Like I've done that more with my niece, not living in the same city. She's under a year old. She's great and thriving, but I can't talk to her on the phone, but I can see her on FaceTime and talk to her, and it's cool. It's cool as hell. So shout out to the Goldens and little Gracie there. But Shahan, if we had more time, I want to keep him asking about Dusty May, but on the eligibility thing, we haven't talked about that. And that is a very notable change that is coming. Well, and I think my big deal is, yes, of course, the lawyers are going to line up because that's what they're going to do. That's part of the gig, but that can't stop you being fearful of lawsuits from trying to move forward as an organization. I mean, if the NCAA stopped and they lost lawsuits, we would never go anywhere, and they would never have proposed anything in the last like 10, 15, 20 years, given their track record. But they've won a fair share of their eligibility lawsuits. I know there's a new one that came out from UCF yesterday that we can mention that isn't exactly what I saw Texas Tech fans trying to paint it as. It wasn't like a black versus black, like white, like it's black and white, like difference. What I'm trying to say, no, I'm just saying they weren't the same thing. It's like it's very much a black and white comparison trying to be made. Cody Campbell jumped into it, so it wasn't like comparing the same things. But here what is this here?
This is Ross on the D1 cabinet and implementing and adopting the age-based eligibility policy.
Yeah.
Policy starts an athlete's clock upon initial enrollment in college. Number 2, start of academic year after the 19th birthday, whichever occurs earlier. And then again, athletes whose 4th season of college eligibility was completed by the spring of 2026, no additional any eligibility. So those who just graduated or those who just played who were out of eligibility will not get that eligibility. That's part of it there too.
And that's where those lawsuits are going to come in. And that's when you're going to see people fighting for a 5th year. Clearly not people who probably have pro aspects, because they would just at this point just go pro, unless their pro aspects are somewhat minuscule. And then it's worth it to try to fight to get that sweet NIL money for a 5th year. But I'll be curious to see how the courts look at this. I mean, they've favored the NCAA in some cases, and they've not favored them in a lot of other cases. This right here, the lawyers, as you mentioned, you named 3 of them all lining up in the span of probably minutes after this was released.
And some of them were saying this and putting this up, and I grabbed them, a few of them, for when this moment happened, even a week or 2 ago.
But yeah, I'll be really fascinated to see how this works in the court system. I'm in favor of it. I think that, yes, I'm always a little bit leery of limitations and the NCAA having too much control. But I think in the case of eligibility, we crossed a line that was just kind of ridiculous with the waivers. And I understand why that needed to be the way that it was. I do wonder, had you had the ability to get in the magic time machine and go, NCAA, we're in the year 2026, but we're going to go back to 2020, and we're going to give you the option. Do you want to give a COVID waiver? Yes or no? Do you think they would still go through with it the way that they did it the first time?
I don't know.
Knowing what all that would entangle and all the lawsuits and things that could follow. I don't know. It was just an interesting choice, and it was, and you can't, and it's easy now, all this time later, sitting in a room, not worrying about wearing masks and everything, about football games being canceled and everything's normal, of like, well, what would you do now? Well, you have a much clearer way of thinking. But back then, that definitely led to a logjam of not knowing who the hell was in what year at any given time. Like, are you a redshirt junior, or are you a junior?
I didn't know for 5 years.
Yeah, like we haven't known for a handful of years what exactly everybody even is. And that's okay. But yeah, the eligibility deal has been very just gray area and very unpredictable. And you've had some of these case by cases getting decided in various states, Trinidad Chambliss, Owen Heineke, so on and so forth. And out of those are different variations of why they should get another year of eligibility, because it was medical red shirt that wasn't applied properly, or it was this, that, or the other. But I think there's got to be some sanity, is my point. And so I like this rule. It sucks for those who are going to be on that border and don't get to take advantage of it. But like we were saying with Shahan, like somebody's got to be that.
Yep.
Somebody's got to be the last in line that didn't get on the ferry before it left, unfortunately.
All it takes is one out of what could be 2,000 to say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't fair. And here we go back to the courtroom. Now, Craig was bringing up Dean Miller. He's at UCF. He's a transfer from Kansas. He is suing the NCAA for an extra year of eligibility because of a junior college season. Here is his lawsuit. Ross Dellinger and others had this. And the bottom line is he planned to enter the portal at Kansas. He did. He signed with UCF. And now asking the NCAA or suing them for an extra year, inked to a $300,000 deal with UCF that now is on the line. So Terry Mohajir, the AD at UCF, friend of the show, Terry Mohajir, remember when we saw the Brendan Sorsby story start to eventually get to an end road? During that time, Terry Mohajir made this comment: institutions cannot control court rulings, legal strategies, or judicial outcomes. What we can control is playing time and the standards we set for participation in our programs. He said that on June the 9th of 2026. And Cody Campbell responded to it by putting up the quote of Terry Mohajir and using the quote underneath his Twitter timeline. And someone called him on this and said, you know what? Would you disappear? And
would you disappear?
Cody
Boy,
might be able to get some of us to disappear. But what Cody said, what I'm doing, and he goes, I'm just pointing out some hypocrisy. Now, Terry Mohajir might completely disagree. You might disagree. But he put up the quote under his timeline and said that when he sees things that he saw during the Brendan Sorsby saga and story, he is going to call them out for it.
Okay, great. I look forward to you policing that and doing that, and I'll be here right alongside you if somebody else has a player that gambles and then goes and bounces around and gambles somewhere else and hides it from you and in a roundabout way makes you look foolish and then gets away because of a favorable judge, a favorable ruling by a judge I'll put it that way. That's more accurate, although some would argue it was also a favorable judge, but it was a favorable ruling. That's not debatable. And then it led us all the way here. This is what I was talking about. This isn't apples to apples. I was going like, this isn't black to black or white. Like I was thinking more apples to apples, oranges to apples to oranges.
Well, I mean, I know what you were saying.
Yeah. So, this isn't apples to apples was my point. And this is a player who is represented by, guess who? That's your cue. Guess who?
Jeffrey Kessler.
Darren Heitner is who represents this player.
Oh, this guy, Dean Miller. Okay.
Yeah, that's why Darren Heitner is responding to Cody Campbell as much as anything, which if you go look in the replies, Darren Heitner is there talking to Cody Campbell saying, you claim college sports is in need of saving. Let's start with process, and then he gets into some of the legal jargon that's being floated out there. So those two having a little bit of a skirmish in the replies. Cody just replying to that said, I'm just here to highlight hypocrisy. And I guess to some level there is. I mean, he's fighting with Darren Heitner backing him for another year, and he's citing COVID as a reason why. So like kind of putting a bow on everything we've been talking about with eligibility of COVID and extra years and all that. Well, he's saying that COVID affected his ability and he had to go to a junior college. And that's why that year shouldn't count. It's like the most explain like I'm five version of this. And so we've seen Pavia and his picking apart and what that led to. And who knows what happens here, quite frankly, with the court system. But yeah, this is why you need eligibility rules, because everybody will then be suing over JUCO years and fighting over remnants of COVID, even though that's almost completely gone now at this point.
NAIA, there's been all sorts of different, whatever level it is.
I played 3 years at NAIA. That shouldn't count at all. I should get 3 years of it. So like you got to put a stamp on that somehow. So I think that's what this eligibility ruling does. And I understand where Cody's trying to come from there, but I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison in any way.
We'll have Craig's Off the Radar in around 4:45. John McClain just after 5 o'clock. And but coming up, Chad Wyberg, the director of athletics at Oklahoma State. Earlier, Ren Baker. Thursday, we'll have Eddie Nunez of Houston, and Monday, Jamie Pollard, Iowa State. Next Wednesday, Graham Rossini of Arizona State, as we have a big run here with ADs from the Big 12. Yeah.
And I do need to say on the Cody Campbell thing that it does need to be across the board. So I'm not even saying tongue in cheek, like, oh, I'm glad he's policing it. Like somebody needs to. And so if he wants to be the guy that calls it out every time, then go right ahead. You know what? Put it out there and put it on blast. And I'm sure that he will. Because we don't need to treat Texas Tech the way that we did. And then the moment something else that's similar comes up, all of a sudden lose that fire that we had.
I agree.
It needs to be spread evenly. So I do agree with him on that.
Chad Wyberg next on 365 Sports. It's PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. 1 out of every 3 to 4 men, maybe you, have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. How do you know? Energy's down, sex drive's down, performance is down, all of that, everything's out of whack. And it could be your T level has dropped. Dr. Petty, contact him at PettyClinicLowT.com. He will set you up with an appointment to get your blood work, and he'll get the results, get back in touch with you. And if your T level is lower than it needs to be or should be, he could put you in a program so you can become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be at PettyClinicLowT.com.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide. Affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics. Whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
From the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio. Now, it's time for the SMOAK Show. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. It's time for the SMOAK Show on 365 Sports with David Smoke and Craig Smoke.
And we continue this 4 o'clock hour. Chad Wyberg, Director of Athletics at Oklahoma State in Stillwater, Oklahoma, joins us, Craig and David, on the SMOAK Show. Chad, thanks for your time. You became the AD at Oklahoma State in the summer of 2021, and before that, you were a part of the athletic department. Could you have ever even written any kind of a sci-fi book or movie that what you would face the next 5 years since you took over?
Man, I don't think any of us could have foreseen what it has become. We knew that. I think I and most of my colleagues knew that change was coming, but to the degree that it has, we often say that it is the most transformative time in the history of college athletics. Now, there's been change before, but the accumulation of change that's happened all at the same time within the last 5 years, there's definitely never been anything quite like that.
Chad, how would you describe and how do you sort of feel the energy building for this football season with your new hire there, Chad Morris? It just feels like there's just overwhelming positivity surrounding this move, and obviously got to go out and win games ultimately. Right. But how much is that felt right now?
Yeah, from day one, when we made the announcement, I mean, the excitement was off of the charts. I mean, it was universal with our fans that just thought that it was a home run selection. Coach Morris is such a good fit with our fan base here. He has been out in the community, been out amongst our fans, and everybody has loved when they meet him. They love him. When you get to know his staff that he's brought here, it's just such a great fit for us. Obviously, Coach Gundy had 2 decades of great success here, and laid the foundation for what this program can be, and everyone's excited about Coach Morris coming in here, obviously with his, the offense, kind of our identity that we built our program on, and scoring a lot of points. And so everyone is just excited about getting him here and getting started with the season.
Chad, there's no question he can coach, and we know his career and what he's done when it comes to teams where he's been before and what he was doing at North Texas. How much, honestly, when you are looking at replacements, how much does the transfer portal option with what he had at his disposal affect your decision?
Well, it's something that you certainly are aware of. But at the same time, we're trying to make a decision for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years down the road. It's not all about just what's going to happen the very next year. We're trying to get this program back to where we all expect it to be and where we want it to be, like I say, for the long term. And so it was about hiring somebody that was a good coach, X's and O's, a good relationship person, a good recruiter, a good fit for the program, all of those things. And so that was the primary driver of what we were looking for. So it really almost becomes an added benefit if there's the possibility that there could be some immediate impact that they can bring through the transfer portal with them.
We saw the note about Osage Nation and the patches on the uniforms. That's obviously right now revenue. How can you find money? What do you think what has been the reaction, and also how long does it take to put this together?
Yeah, this is something that our team here has been working on for several weeks and into months. The Osage Nation, their leadership, I give them a lot of credit for seeing the opportunity and sort of being early adopters in this space, right? It's something that the NCAA just made permissible for schools to be able to take this out into the market. And I really think that their leadership has great vision, always has there with the Osage Nation. And so they just saw the opportunity, and our team as well. They worked really closely with them for a number of weeks here to put this together. And I think it will be a great, meaningful partnership. It's a great fit partnership between us and the Osage Nation. We stand for a lot of the same things in terms of our land grant mission and agriculture, productivity, and all of those things. So we're really, really excited about it. Be one of the first in the country, I think the first in the Big 12 conference, and I think the first partnership of its kind with a sovereign nation like the Osage Nation.
Osage, I see.
Okay,
I gave him the wrong pronunciation. That is my fault. I was riffing on it, but I'm glad that you corrected us there. Osage Nation. So we will have that proper moving forward. But how weird is it to also be doing this? Like it's just crazy. Like all the different avenues that a lot of people thought you'd never walk down, but you're walking them now. I mean, it is what it is. But it just, I have to imagine, just sort of, do you ever just pause in the moment, in the middle of something like this, and go, "Wow, I can't believe we're actually doing this"?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is strange. I can remember one of the first things back when I was the deputy AD. One of the first presentations I ever made to our board of regents was asking for permission to sell alcohol at our sporting events. And that's one of the first things I told them when I stood up in front of them, is I never imagined that would be the first thing that I would be coming in front of the board to ask for permission to do. But it's where we were, and it is, it was a revenue driver for us, but it was more about the fan experience and continuing to get people out to our stadiums and venues. So it's just an example of how we are continuing to have to adapt in this space over the last 5, 7, 9 years, and we'll continue to. I mean, I don't think this is the end of it. We've got a sponsor on our field. We're actively looking for a sponsor for our court for men's and women's basketball. So there's a lot of opportunity out there now that's been opened up to us, and it's exciting to see organizations like the Osage Nation and businesses start to realize that, hey, these are great opportunities, and to partner with us to take advantage of them.
So we were talking, can't remember who it was, but somebody else was weighing whether or not they were going to dive into alcohol sales. What has been your experience? Has it been more about the money? Has it been more about how it has made game day different? Like what have been your kind of, I guess, your feedback and your feel on how that's operated and worked?
Yeah, I believe we were one of the first to adopt that, but we reached out to the people who had adopted it before us. And what they told us was that they actually saw a decrease in their alcohol-related incidents at their games when they implemented, which seems counterintuitive, but we've seen the exact same thing. I think that when fans know that they're able to have access to that in the venues, then there's less of a drive to sort of load up before that is cut off to them, which is when we saw the problems. But more importantly, I think it wasn't as much about the revenue that selling the alcohol generated. It was more about the revenue of having people in your stadiums, continuing to come out to the games, provide the experience that they wanted. We talk about, every game being on TV now, which is great. And we obviously have great partnerships with ESPN and Fox and the folks that televise our games and provide a lot of the revenue from those. But at the same time, they can also be sort of our greatest competitor from the standpoint of it's really a great experience to stay home on your couch. You've got a 55-inch high definition television that you can watch the game on, and the refrigerator is right around the corner that you can get anything out of it that you want to get out of it. And so that's what we've continued to do is in terms of the experience, both whether it's alcohol sales, whether it's the concessions that we provide, the options that we provide at concessions. And we just spent $55 million on our stadium renovating it to make it more comfortable because everyone is looking for their version of premium seating. And again, because if it's not something that they are going to enjoy, then it's just too easy for them to choose to stay home. So we've got to continue to innovate ways to make them want to get in the car, make the drive, be in the stadium, to support the team there in person.
How would you describe T. Boone Pickens Stadium as far as being inside of it, whether you're in the press box in your suite or those who are slamming things against the wall? This is not a negative. It's like a shoebox. I mean, it's like a shoebox, and it's so intimidating. And I know the last 2 or 3 years hasn't been that way, but how would you describe it?
Yeah, well, I'm biased, obviously, but I think it is one of the best home field advantages in all of college football. It's not the biggest stadium in the world, but it does have great tight sidelines. So the fans are right on top of you. The infrastructure of the suites and clubs that ring the stadium just really keep the sound noise in. The premium experience that we have, I think, is second to none. We do have, while we may not have the most seats in the country, I think we have among the most suites and club seats of any stadium in the country. So it's a great experience. Our concessions offerings, the way the flow inside the stadium works, the ingress, egress, all of those things, our parking. I believe we provide a great fan experience, and it is a great home field environment. We talk about it being like the outdoor version of Gallagher Arena. Inside our arena, the fans are right on top of the court, and it's no different in Boone Pickens Stadium.
Chad, so I've been to Boone Pickens Stadium one time. It was a big win over Baylor when Baylor was red hot like 10, 12 years ago. But I got to say, the most excitement I see coming from Oklahoma State athletics here recently is wrestling, man. Like, it's just incredible, the spirit and the fever and the atmosphere. Like I was saying not long ago, and I'm not asking for anything here, by the way, but I was like, man, if I'm putting together like a dream list of places to go, I'm not so sure that like an Oklahoma State wrestling meet's not very high up the list for like the full college sports experience. How would you describe it and just the fervor that surrounds that sport up there?
Yeah, well, consider it an open invitation. You can come up to any match that you want to come up to, and would love to have you. No, Coach Taylor has done a great job in his 2 seasons that he's been here. He had a vision for what he thought that our environment could be there for Cowboy wrestling matches. And our staff has done a great job of listening to him, taking that vision and implementing that vision. And it's an incredible atmosphere. And it's showing in the response that we're getting from our fans. We've had excellent attendance, averaging over 10,000 fans for wrestling matches, had several sellouts of over 14,000 fans coming to our matches. Of course, finished second in the country this year. And so great things happening there with Cowboy wrestling, and I'm looking forward to this season. I know our fans are looking forward to it, and seeing what we do next there.
Chad, there seems like rulings all the time. The latest one today, the NCAA Division I cabinet unanimously adopted the age-based eligibility policy, and immediately I see attorneys and others saying that, well, they're going to have players that have filed lawsuits. To me, this makes sense. 5 years to play whatever you can. It eliminates waivers for the most part. Your thoughts about it, and what is the best part of it? And then also, are there any concerns from you as someone who runs an athletic department?
Well, I think that, we knew that the lawsuits were likely going to come. I think that's just the environment, unfortunately, that we're in right now. Is there a perfect solution, a perfect way that fits every single situation? I don't know that there is such a thing out there. So what you got to do is you got to figure out what is the best for, kind of the collective. And I think this is a good solution. We can't lose sight of the fact that this is athletics tied to a university experience, a collegiate experience, and an educational experience. If we completely lose sight of that, then what are we doing? And so I think this is just an attempt to say that, look, this experience that you get of being a college athlete is tied to being a college student. And what you hope is that the end result of that for the vast majority of these student athletes is a degree. That's the most valuable thing that comes out of it. All of us that have graduated from college understand that. And so I think this is just an attempt to keep this, sort of tethered to the educational mission of our universities is that, this is about coming and participating in a sport while you get your degree. And I think this is just showing, most of the time that degree happens within a 5-year window. So I think that makes sense in a lot of ways to most people.
We're 3 weeks out from Big 12 Media Days in Frisco on the July 7th and 8th, the Tuesday and Wednesday. Obviously, it's been a very interesting and somewhat tumultuous offseason within the conference without getting too many details. But my question for you is, do you see everybody on the same page moving forward? Because the Big 12 can't afford to get split in any particular way, because it's sometimes, honestly, it's you and the ACC and others, group of 6 against the rest of the world.
Right. Yeah, I do. I feel good about, our group. Speaking as ADs, I think the 16 ADs do have good working relationships, have a lot of respect for each other, know kind of what our strength is in our collection, and that we've got to keep that together. And so, obviously we're going to have issues that come up from time to time, and that's just part of it. I think that's true of any conference at any level of sports. It's highly competitive, right? And that competition drives some of those things, but you just got to be in a place to work through it. And I have a lot of respect for all of my colleagues. They're highly professional, and I think we've shown the ability to do that. So I think we'll come out of this as a conference and as a league and ready to go and ready to compete, starting with the football season this fall.
If you don't mind, one final question about leading the athletic department. I've asked this of other ADs, and I'm not sure I've asked you this. Are there nights you don't sleep well because things are so up in the air more than it seems like they are stable and ready to continue to move forward? I hope that's I think it's a fair question.
Yeah, it's fair. And I don't, I can only speak for me. There's definitely times that I don't sleep real well, and there's probably lots of reasons for that. But, I think just for any leader, and I can, again, speaking for me, is you just hope that you're doing everything that you can to put the organization in the best possible place that it can be, to, in our case, where competition is the name of the game, where you can compete, but that you're also doing it the right way and doing right by the student athletes, the young men and women that choose Oklahoma State to come to school here. Parents trust us with their most valuable, people in their lives. It's our children, And so we take that very seriously, that we're providing, once in a lifetime opportunity, that we don't want them to look back in any way and regret that they made the decision to come to Oklahoma State. So those are the things that we think about and try to drive all of our decisions. And, and if there's times that I lose sleep, it's probably around the fact of, am I doing everything I can to help us drive the organization to fulfilling that part of the mission.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate your time. We'll see you in Frisco.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks to Kevin Clintworth also for setting that up. We appreciate Chad Wyberg, earlier Ren Baker, and their time on many things, the moving parts within the Big 12 and also with collegiate athletics. We're going to stay here. I know there's an open for Off the Radar. John McClain around the corner in 15 or 20 minutes. Craig, I know there's a lot going on because there's the draft and there's much more. So let's go ahead, and if you're ready, you want to do it now?
If you got the open, then hit the open.
Let's go ahead and hit the open, Reg, if you got it ready.
Available.
All right.
It's time for Craig Smokes Off the Radar.
We normally do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays and normally have a bit more time, but he's pinching me. I noticed there's been guests later and later on Tuesdays and Thursdays, like
Dear God,
4:35
that's not true all the time.
to try to cut into me time. But no, in all seriousness, a few things are going on. Don't have a lot of time to talk about it. I think the most interesting thing, though, is I'm trying to see what I want to go here with, because we do have a short amount of time. I'm actually most fascinated, not by the official introduction of Dusty May and the Mavericks making that announcement earlier today. It's not the Giannis trade from last night.
You know what's weird?
I'll get into it.
Yeah, okay.
And it's not even so much the World Cup. It's that the NHL is expanding. And so for those just joining us, maybe you're not ever on this show as you look away in horror and disgust. This is for non-college football related topics as they pop up, just to give us a little bit of a breather. And I think the next wave of major sports leagues in America is expansion across the board. I think we talked about it the other day. The NFL has picked at the American market to the point where they're like, everybody's got to go play overseas at least one game now. All of you have to. It was one game a year. Then it was a couple games a year. Then it was multiple games a year. Now all 32 teams have to play an international game, right? You have the topic of expansion where the UFL president, who would know some people that know some people in the NFL offices, he comes out and says that he thinks that the next move is that they're going to expand and add a couple more teams. And it sounds crazy when you think about it, and you're like, well, it's not always been 32. And would 34 be a killer? I don't know. Would people just gobble it up? Probably, because it's the NFL. But you look at Major League Baseball, they're toying with expansion ideas. You look at the NBA, they're absolutely getting ready to add Las Vegas and Seattle to their list of teams. So they're going to expand. And now the NHL is also talking about expansion. So I think we've got to the point where the TV contracts for some leagues are going to keep going up, but there's only so much business that you can create on your own, like as far as advertisement money and things like that. I almost wonder if adding teams is like the new pro sports way to just
generate
more money.
Well, hell yeah, because they're worth billions.
Right.
I forgot what I saw the note from whoever it was. I guess the NBA owner, the man that wants to put an NBA team in Vegas.
Right.
And I thought, and you might have the details, it's like $5 or $6 billion. The Cowboys and the Yankees, we know how these franchises.
You're lowballing it, by the way. It's more like 7 to 10.
No way for an NBA franchise.
For the Las Vegas, that's what the projection is. It's going to take $7 to $10 billion.
So if you were under the, let's say 30 owners or 32 owners, or how many you have in your league, and you're not going to add just one team. You're going to add two. You're always going to add two. Make it even. Why would you say no to that? Now, the one concern might be that you eventually spread yourself too thin.
Right. And you lower the talent pool to the point where now there's a bunch of people that otherwise would not be playing in your league, that you're watering down your talent because now you need an extra 45 guys to fill out all of the teams. So there is that. But I bring that up because I think that will be an ongoing conversation, but mostly because there is news on that front in the NHL, and it is revolving around the state of Texas. And it will actually lead us beautifully into John McClain, who has been clamoring for a NHL team in Houston. The Houston had, I forget, was it the IHL or the AHL that the Arrows were in?
Yeah, they had the WHL.
Yeah, I can't remember which league it was.
Kind of became a renegade-like breakaway league from the NHL. Yeah,
Houston's had their experience with hockey, but they have a contingent of people that definitely want an NHL team. Well, the NHL is, according to various reports out there today, exploring a second team in Texas to join the Dallas Stars. And there are 2 cities that are targets, and it is Houston, which is just logical. It's the biggest city in the state. It's one of the biggest cities in the entire country. It's a melting pot of just all sorts of things, business-wise, people-wise, culture-wise. It's a massive, massive city. So Houston makes clear sense. But the other city is Austin, that is apparently being looked at, either Houston or Austin, the potential targets that aren't just being reported, but that Commissioner Gary Bettman made known on the board during the Board of Governors meeting. He said the league has entered into an agreement with the Friedkin family, according to ESPN, who have roughly 6 months to investigate if a team is possible in Austin or Houston. The agreed investment for the Friedkin family, and this is for an NHL expansion team, is $3.5 billion. So, yeah, the NBA is at least going for 7, like bottom line, if NHL is going for 3.5. It would also include an expansion fee as well as building costs for an arena. So you're getting up there in the billions of dollars for all this. He said, as we've talked about all along, expansion depends on ownership, market, arena, and what does it do to make the league stronger. If the first 3 boxes are checked, you'll then say to yourself, what does it do to make the league stronger? Houston, South Texas is a major market nationally. He said that the new team would not interfere with territorial rights for the Stars, which I know is a big concern for a lot of Stars fans. And so, yeah, Dan Friedkin, billionaire, he's been looking at getting into the NHL. He's the chairman and CEO of Gulf States Toyota, and he's also got several other sports properties like Everton FC out of the Premier League, AS Roma out of Italian Serie A, among other ventures. So he is looking to get into the NHL, and it looks like they will be planting their flag if all goes well in either Houston or Austin. Now, I have seen some people pipe up that would know more than I do, certainly, and they seem to indicate that Houston's like the front runner. That don't get it twisted. Austin has a chance. They will be looked at, but like Houston's the much bigger city. It's got various. I mean, it's the only thing they don't have is NHL team at this point. They got the Astros, Texans, and Rockets. They've also got other various sports as well. So yeah, Houston or Austin being looked at now officially by Commissioner Gary Bettman for an expansion franchise. It's very interesting.
Austin is the 5th largest city, just below Fort Worth has just jumped them. Houston is like just a monster.
The 5th largest in Texas.
4th largest in the 4th largest in the United States. You're right. I'm talking about Austin, 5th largest city in Texas. Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
No, okay. Yeah. Houston's the 4th biggest city in America. Austin's the 5th biggest city in Texas. Yes.
Yeah. Austin, it's grown quite a bit. I don't know about.
They've done well with the soccer team, but I don't. Yeah, the NHL seems like it's jumping into a deeper end of the pool, and I think that they've been gearing themselves up for something like that. And I definitely think it's more likely to be an NHL team than an NFL team, of course.
No, yeah. I don't know, though, and John will have a better opinion. I don't know if Austin is a professional sports city, even as big as it is, and where all the people have come from all over the country. I sometimes wonder where Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio are.
Yeah, I think it's one thing to have an MLS team, and they've got a good following down there. But, yeah, I think a Big Four pro sports thing's a little bit different, and I don't know what the hockey temp is there, whereas Houston's been clamoring for it for a while. I think it's like a Columbus, Ohio situation where, for Austin at least, where it's like, yeah, the Buckeyes are bigger than even the Blue Jackets. But that's an example of who does Columbus, Ohio have? They have an NHL team. They don't have a football, basketball, baseball. They have the Blue Jackets, though. So could we see similar with Austin, where it's a Longhorns town first, foremost, and forever?
Oh, yeah.
But if they were going to get something, I don't think baseball would make sense, right? They're not getting an NFL team, not before San Antonio at least. And basketball, I don't think that's like a great basketball market for an NBA team.
They got the great arena now where Texas plays.
Sure.
But yeah, there's
But you're not going to bring an NBA team to share that arena.
There are some niches there. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they can do the hockey.
If one could work, I think it would probably be that, but I don't know how well it would work. But I think that would be the
Isn't
first
that crazy
in line.
if it does? It'd be 3 NHL franchises in the state of Texas.
Well, they're not going to do 2. They're not doing Austin and Houston. They're doing one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they're not doing both of them. That would make absolutely no sense.
Well, because then you're going to pull from each other. Yeah. And Dallas, the Stars would then say, wait a minute, I don't care where they're located, south and southwest, east of us. No, you're right. Okay.
That's what the point was. They're deciding between Austin and Houston for the next franchise potentially. So we'll see where all that goes. Meanwhile, World Cup's rolling on along. Just a quick update. England, Ghana. It's getting late in this bad boy. It's 0-0.
Yeah.
So I know the English are probably freaking out at this point in time. Earlier today, you had Portugal 5-0 over Uzbekistan. And that was a game where Ronaldo had a brace for Portugal in their big blowout victory over Uzbekistan.
Okay, Ronaldo scored twice.
Yeah.
Messi scored twice.
Mm-hmm.
Mbappe scored twice.
All the stars are starring.
All the stars. There were 1 or 2 other names yesterday that I just happened to catch in the crawl that all scored.
Erling Haaland's
yeah,
the name to know.
Yeah, he also scored a pair of goals too.
Yeah, so big performance from Portugal. And then you got a couple games later on tonight as I'll start to wrap this up here. But England, Ghana tied right now. You're going to have Panama, Croatia coming up at 6 on Fox. And then Colombia versus the Democratic Republic of Congo later tonight, 9 o'clock on FS1. So a couple of matches still to go. And then real quickly, in the NBA last night, you had the big expected, much anticipated trade of Giannis Antetokounmpo, as he is no longer a Milwaukee Buck, but he is now a member of the Miami Heat. And that is leading you into tonight's NBA draft. There were thoughts that would get done the night before. It did, in fact, get done. And so later on tonight, you've got the NBA draft, 7 o'clock on ESPN and ABC. So I'm assuming they'll have the different versions of the panel. But round 1 tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll see AJ Demansah going off the board at number 1, I presume, and then whatever happens from there on out. But busy 24 hours in the NBA. Antetokounmpo now in Miami, and a bunch of new faces about to join the league later on tonight. So there's a lot going on in the world of sports outside of just the crazy world of college football, and there's a few things off the radar.
We'll do a couple minutes here, and then we'll come back with I know John McClain's ready. Let me do an endorsement, and then we'll come back, Raz, if that's okay with John McClain, because I know he's in the video portal. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Right now, shop and buy from home, online. Build your deal online, and they will deliver for you. You can go and see them. David Gray runs the sales department. They have the great deals right now on the Ram trucks, a couple of different ones with MSRP at a double-digit or 5-digit level. And also, if you are approved, your credit, get 2.9% APR financing as well for several months. And on top of that, they've got the SUVs from Jeep, the Grand Cherokee, the Jeep Wagoneer. They are gorgeous, smooth running, and a really nice, always a lot full of pre-owned cars, no matter what brand they're from, what dealership. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Ted Teague, CEO and General Manager, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. We are now joined by the Hall of Famer himself in John McClain down in the Houston area. John, Craig was just bringing up the possibility of the NHL moving another franchise or a new franchise, an expansion team into the state of Texas. Houston or Austin? Is that an easy decision or not?
It's not an easy decision if Houston is not giving you what you want in infrastructure and a lot of tax breaks. Dan Friedkin, who owns, Everton, the hockey team in the Premier League that also is in Liverpool. Liverpool gets all the attention, but he built them a new stadium last year. Friedkin owns one, Roma, in the Italian league. He owns a lower level one, and he is one of the wealthiest people in the country with Gulf States Toyota here. and he's won a hockey team here for a long time. But Austin is going to roll out the red carpet. And Houston, because we've got Texans want a lot billion for their stadium. The Rockets and the Astros want more money for renovations to their stadium, where Austin would have one goal and one goal in mind would be to try to lure the NHL. It just drives me crazy when I see all these cities around the country that have 4 sports, but not Houston, third largest city in the country.
Yeah, John, I was looking at Austin. It's a Longhorns town, but Columbus, Ohio, with the Blue Jackets, like they don't have anything but an NHL team, but it works pretty well up there. I could see a similar scenario, and I think an NHL team would make more sense than anything else in Austin at this moment. But what kind of a hunger is there for an NHL team in Houston outside of just we want to have all 4? Would the support be there in your mind for an NHL franchise?
Absolutely, positively. Why in the world would they support teams in Dallas and Denver when we're bigger than both those cities combined? There are a lot of hockey fans here, but we're a city of front runners, as all our teams know. If they got a franchise like Las Vegas did, and they win right away, and that would be terrific. It drives me crazy when I see victory parades in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I think we do not have an NHL team. That was my job when I left the Waco Tribune Herald to come down here and cover the original Arrows. They sold out every game. The Rockets could not when they moved from San Diego. They were playing home games, some home games in Waco at the old Heart of Texas Coliseum, and in San Antonio at their old Coliseum. But our owner, folded the franchise, and then the NHL expanded to include World Hockey Association team, and we got left out in the cold, and we've never had anybody really step up and try hard to get another franchise. NHL Players Association had a survey last season that said which cities do they want to go to. Houston was by far number 1 on that list.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that, but okay, very interesting. Well, I'll be fascinated to see which city lands this expansion team. But yeah, very interesting stuff there. Well, meanwhile, interesting stuff out of the NFL today as well, John, in regards to Brendan Sorsby. The NFL coming out saying we're not holding a supplemental draft, so there's no way you're going to get drafted via that route, but also being pretty scathing in their critique of Sorsby and this process and all that's gone on. What were your thoughts when you saw that? What are your thoughts on just kind of how they've responded to Sorsby's attempt to try to get into the league a different route?
I was surprised. It amazes me the way the NFL will let people that beat up women, who have car wrecks that could kill people. Some people have killed people, and they'll still take them back. But if you had a kid that was gambling, you're going to not keep him out of the league permanently. And odds are he wouldn't have played as a rookie anyway. But I'm interested now to see if his attorneys file a suit, because Kessler said today that it violates the CBA. Obviously, Roger Goodell would not have made that decision unless he's comfortable it would stand up in court. So what Sorsby needs to do now, continue his treatment. He will have plenty of time to convince teams he is beyond that. Plus, he'll have pro day at Texas Tech or Cincinnati. He could go to the combine next year. I think this will work out better for him in the long run.
Yeah, you've had Josh Gordon, who obviously had a major issue with drugs. Who was the other name that I mentioned earlier? But there are players.
Well, Terrell Pryor, but that was
Terrell
tattoos.
Pryor, but that was tattoos, which now is like a pimple on a butt when it comes to NCAA. It sounds like the letter to him was scathing about basically scolding him for not taking enough of the blame on himself. And I mean, would that be why they would rule this way, or is it still the gambling thing that they're not ready to deal with?
Because the NFL is making billions in gambling. And Roger Goodell knows people be stupid to think that Sorsby's the only player doing what he did. Most of them are just smart enough not to use their own name. And I think it's a chance for them to flex their muscles knowing it's something the union's not going to fight him over, because the union, he's not a member of the union. They don't care about him now. And so I think it's just something the NFL thinks very confidently that they're not going to get challenged. And if they do, they'll win. And I'm always just amazed at how many players screw up. And yet they don't get near, you don't get kicked out because based on some of the things they do and are proven to do. But if you can play, you will always have somebody who wants you.
John, there was one notable, signing today. Kyle Pitts in the Atlanta Falcons, 3-year, $45 million deal. Seems like not that long ago I was watching Kyle Pitts just be a freak show in the best kind of way at Florida, but now getting rewarded with this contract. Your thoughts on that signing? And just, the Falcons, what does this mean for them big picture?
Run that back, Greg.
Kyle Pitts signing with the Falcons today, 3-year, $54 million deal for him. I was saying it just seems like yesterday he was catching passes at Florida, but here he is getting another go-round of a contract with Atlanta. Your thoughts on that deal and just what it means for the Falcons' big picture?
Falcons got a really good offense. They think they're good enough to win the NFC South, which is still maybe the worst division in the NFL. And Pitts, he had been a disappointment up to last season. Then in a contract year, he did a great job. That was a disappointment based on where he was drafted, but they've got a really good offense. The key, of course, is Michael Penix has to stay healthy, and Michael Penix has to play the way he flashed when he's a rookie, but he's had so many injuries since he started in college football and got to the NFL. I don't know how they could count on him for a full season, and maybe that's why they got Tua Tagovailoa.
John, what do you think the appetite is for expansion in the NFL? I mean, we were just talking about the NHL, the NBA is talking about adding Seattle and Vegas. You got MLB, who's taken the Oakland team to Vegas, obviously. But I saw that the UFL head that he kind of created some waves last week in talking about potential NFL expansion. Is there an appetite for that?
Absolutely not. And one reason is they don't have enough quarterbacks to go around as it is now. Teams are always hungry for them. Teams are always let down by their quarterbacks. They're spread so thin as it is. And all that television money and gambling money, I don't think they want to split it anytime soon.
Well, that's a great point. The franchises in the NFL, and maybe there's not going to be one anytime soon, but what would they go for right now, John, if somebody wanted to be an NFL expansion team? 10, 12 billion? What would it be? And how much of that is split among the other teams?
Well, first of all, you'd have I don't know any teams right now that are dying to move.
Mm-hmm.
That people aren't having stadium issues like they did, and they threatened to move, and some did move, including the Oilers to Tennessee and the Browns to Baltimore and LA and Raiders. And now you don't see that. And it's because the owners now are making so much money, and they can't deny that they do. Every move they make with streaming services and everything else is with the idea of adding billions to your franchise. And yes, that would cost probably at least $10 billion. But by the time they do it, it might be $20 billion. And look back to all those AFL teams like the Houston Oilers, it cost them $25,000 to start their franchises. And that wasn't a franchise fee. That was all the teams that they call the Foolish Club gave $25,000 to set up a commissioner's office in New York. So really, there was no expansion fee, although most people think 25 was an expansion fee.
Do you think there will be an international team sooner rather than later, like a London or a Mexico City team?
No, I think when they do it, like if they're going to go to London, they're going to have two teams like they do in LA. Mm-hmm. They've talked about that for a long time. Mexico City would be really easy to get into and out of, and they got a 90,000 seat stadium, but boy, they got a lot of issues down there south of the border. I do not see the NFL expanding down there. I think if they do, they'll do it to Europe, and I think they would put two in London, one where the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is that the NFL helped build, and then there would be another one in a different part of London, and it would be like LA and New Jersey.
Last thing on, I want to go back to Sorsby for a second. He's not in the NFL, so he's not a part of the NFL Players Association. So can his attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, sue the NFL if he's not a part of the NFL? And would he be dumb cutting his hand off basically if he started going after the NFL Players Association too?
I can't see that because he's not a member. He could go after the league. Kessler has done really well in lawsuits through the years against the NFL. If I'm Sorsby, I just say, okay, I'll work my tail off to make sure I don't gamble anymore. I will prove to them I'm not gambling, and I'll work my tail off to make sure I'm one of those top quarterback prospects next year when they have the draft in late April.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to see where he ultimately lands. But, yeah, I mean, this is more time. I mean, to his and his attorney's point, it's more time for him to get himself together. I mean, that's one way of looking at it is get your demons taken care of and make sure that you're better on the other end of it. I brought up a couple of soccer hotbeds as NFL expansion sites in Mexico City and London. So I want to end on a soccer note here. Are you feeling the fever in
Absolutely. I always pay really close attention to the World Cup. It doesn't have to be here. Houston's done a great job. All of America has done a great job. I love those fans coming over from around the world talking about Buc-ee's and Big Gulps and Chick-fil-A and all of our companies here that it's hard for them to imagine. You know, there's no place in London you could put a Buc-ee's. And I think it's great social media. It's been tremendous for America. And I love some of the things, the Orange Walk. They had 2.5 mile walk from Rice Stadium to NRG Sunday. And my wife, Carol, went, got there like 6 a.m., thought she'd be one of the few. They didn't want people to know what the route was because they already had so many Dutch fans. Took her Astro jersey, turned it inside out, so it'd be all orange, and walked with 20,000 people to the stadium. It was a sight to see, and I love Norway. I guarantee you the Vikings are going to be doing the rowing their fans this season after they see what's going on with Norway. It is spectacular.
Yeah, and it's that way everywhere. Boston, Dallas, or of course Arlington, and now Houston and other Seattle. It's been fun. I think it's almost been like watching how maybe people who don't live here really love what we have here, that sometimes we're fighting amongst each other too often to enjoy it along the way. All right, so you sent Craig and you sent us a text, a story, a column from when your father passed away. And it was awesome. And I put out a couple of parts in bold. Tell everybody about the story when you and your mother and father was at NFL owners meetings, and he said something about what he was going to eat or what he was going to eat.
I wrote it in 2007 after my dad, Curtis McLean, died. My mother's already dead. And the Chronicle reran it every year at Father's Day. And so Jim Reeves, a good friend of mine from Waco, he lives in Fort Worth, sent me a text on Father's Day, said, I reread your column. I read it every year. It reminds me so much of my dad growing up in Waco, being a Baylor fan, a Cowboys fan. And so I'm like, oops, I forgot to do it. So I sent it out to a lot of people that I thought fathers would appreciate it. And I always get good response. And one time I took my parents to the NFL meetings, which is a really fancy resort every March. This was Palm Desert, California. I took them first night to a 5-star restaurant, and we were looking at the menu, and my dad said to one of the hostesses, ma'am, excuse me. She came over, yes, sir. He said, sorry to bother you, but somebody accidentally dropped a piece of lemon in my water. And my mother goes, oh, God, Curtis, act like you're not from Waco. She said, you should know that. He said, what are you talking about? I know that. That's the way they do it. She said, well, how would you know it? She said, I got it from my soap opera, Santa Barbara.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's
she knew in California that they like to put a lemon in water. Of course, they did it all over the country. But my dad just couldn't get used to that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's a great column.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you shared it with us. It was fantastic.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you. Second Bears.
Well, yeah, Hall of Famer John McClain Tuesdays with us, most every Tuesday with us, and wearing the Hall of Fame hat. He's got a couple of them, but that one's the one I like. That's a nice looking golf hat that he was wearing today.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of different topics touched on there, and I think he was surprised by that Sorsby ruling. He was pretty confident, it sounded like last week, that he thought that Sorsby would have a route through the supplemental. And I kept saying, not that I'm like, oh, I was right, but no, I just kept saying, because of what stuck with me and reading the articles about his potential pathways, was it always said there is no guarantee that he gets to be in the supplemental draft. There is no guarantee they even have a supplemental draft. There is no guarantee he gets to be in the supplemental draft. There is no guarantee. And sure enough. And so I think the NFL knocked out two birds with one stone. First of all, you're not going to have a chance to get drafted because we're not going to have a draft. Second of all, here's all the reasons why we don't want you to be drafted right now. You didn't show contrition. You were attempting to play in the NCAA up until they told you effectively no, even though you withdrew yourself basically. But you knew you were getting ready to get into a very unpredictable legal battle with the NCAA. And since you, quote unquote, lost that, so to speak, you're not turning around and now you want to come to us. And so they pointed out a lot of things that clearly they've been watching the situation. They've been monitoring, and they were not keen to just welcome Brendan Sorsby into the fold.
Not at all.
No. You can say, well, what about the gambling advertisements and all that? I understand that sentiment, and I totally acknowledge it. And I'm right there with you on there is a little bit of double speak going on. But I just think the big difference is it's different when a gambling company is promoting the league, and it's different when then you're promoting a player who's breaking rules that are not debatable rules. Now, I've seen people now try to debate the rules on, well, maybe they should be allowed to do this. Well, you know what? That was decided months ago, last fall, when everybody, including Texas Tech, said, we're not going to allow student athletes to gamble on stuff. Like, there's the exceptions if it's a non-college sport, but no, other than that, we're not going to allow it. And they all agreed to that. And so that's where we find ourselves. But yeah, it's crazy the ebb and flow that Sorsby's undergone in the last 6 weeks of uncertainty, the thrill of this legal victory, and then the immediate reaction to it. And then the couple weeks after and what that's led to. Like, I do feel for the young man in a way, because it's got to feel like you're in a washing machine and you're just kind of getting bounced around everywhere. And it's you jumped in, you turned it on.
Yeah.
So
that's going to make me claustrophobic now. But
I'm just saying, you're in a whirlpool. You're just getting jostled around everywhere. And one moment it's a celebration, and the next moment you're not even allowed to play football for the next year. Not anywhere. Unless, I don't think Canada would take him. I don't don't know the UFL, what that would possibly look like. I mean, their own face of I forget the guy's name, the president, had a photoshopped Sorsby graphic earlier today of him in one of their uniforms. So I guess they'd be open to it. But yeah, at minimum, and I think it was Jason Shear said this earlier, a buddy from Arizona, and I actually intended to say something along these lines earlier, but it was good timing that it just came across. He said, and I agree with this, if Texas Tech cares so much about Sorsby, invite him back to the program to train for a year without competing on the field, and he can do all the things that you had locked in for him to do as far as the counseling and being around the team or what have you. Maybe that's an option for him. But the NFL is not an option for him.
UFL's over, right? They've already finished up their season.
They just crowned a champion a couple weekends ago.
I did notice that they have a handful of players that are getting tryouts at NFL camps, et cetera, over the next month or two.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the time. You're right. They just wrapped up. So that wouldn't make sense because he'll be in the NFL this time.
Here's a note from David McKenzie. He's a part of Intellectual Law. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I know it's too much, but he goes, in what Kessler's saying about the NFL, he reflects back on Maurice Claret did the same thing back in whenever it was in 2003 or 4. Sorsby's lawyer calls the refusal a violation of the CBA and the law, but the law is the problem here. 2 decades ago, a far more gifted player made the same argument, discovered why it fails. Maurice Claret, Ohio State's freshman sensation, sued to enter the draft before the NFL's 3-season rule allowed it, calling that rule illegal restraint of trade. He won in a district court, but lost an appeal. The opinion against him was written by the future Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Because the draft's eligibility rules are a product of collective bargaining, she held the antitrust laws do not reach them. The league and the players' union may agree that a man will not be hired or considered for employment for nearly any reason whatsoever, as long as they break no labor or anti-discrimination law. $9,000 in bets, or 9,000 bets, many of them on his own team, would seem to clear that modest bar.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of an argument here. The NFL rules are a lot more ironclad, and they've thought of a lot of things like this because of things they've dealt with in the past. So, yeah, I don't think that they're going to get sued into having to force a supplemental draft simply so that Brendan Sorsby can get on a team. Good luck to Jeffrey Kessler. I'm interested in you tangling with the NFL. I know he's got plenty of experience, plenty of wins, and if anybody could do it, it would be him. I don't see, based on how the NFL went about addressing this issue, that they're not playing around. They are not interested, not right now, maybe next April, but not right now. And they just shut the draft down. And they don't have it every year. So it's not like it's every year they have this draft, and all of a sudden this year they're like, nope, we don't have it this year. No, like they haven't had one for, I forget what the exact stretch is, but yeah. And when they have had it, it comes and goes like nothing, because nothing ever really comes out of it, except for maybe occasionally a player gets an opportunity. But that's interesting that there were a lot of people, at least as of last week, that thought there might be this potential for him, but the NFL was very clear that that's not the case.
You have an attorney suing future bosses of maybe your said quarterback.
I don't think they'll care that much. I don't think like the Broncos owner, they won't be drafting Sorsby, but whoever it may be, I don't think Jerry Jones will not draft Brendan Sorsby if he thinks he's the future.
Oh, no. Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Sue the NFL.
I wish I could find this note. Then we're going to go to the wheel. From Albert Breer, I can't find it. He was saying now Sorsby has lost his money. He got about $1 million, I guess, when he enrolled and was at Tech, and Cody Campbell said he can keep that. There are now hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and even more coming, and he's not making any money during this time. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, he also brought up the whole, I can't remember them never letting guys in. We had Terrell Pryor. We had Ahmad Brooks, I believe, was one. That was an academics thing,
right.
But again, I think it's the gambling. I don't think it's all that.
It's not.
I don't think it's really all that hard to figure out.
Sorsby lost more than $4 million he stood to make at Tech. The chance to play his way into the top 5 in next year's draft, which could be worth $50 million guaranteed. Legal costs are mounting, and they are not anywhere near stopping. So that's. I mean, we'll follow that along the way.
They might be. I mean, they can stop right now. He just doesn't pursue any further legal action.
Rez Flores has been doing everything by himself today, and thank you, sir. Appreciate all sorts of what you've done. Let's spin the wheel.
What's the question today? What's the general question of the day? And boy, do I mean general question. These are always just the most random.
This is right down my
general
alley.
Questions. What was the last thing you cooked using a recipe guide? Something simple like boxed mac and cheese, frozen pizza, or microwave rice does not. So my ramen noodles don't count, is what you're saying, Andrew? No, I actually got a discount code for what's the HelloFresh, which is they send you all the ingredients and you cook it and they give you the recipes. I had a very minuscule deal, so I took them up on the offer and they sent me a meal or two. It might have been 2 actually. Yeah, I think it was 2, and I cooked that. And yeah, that would be the last.
Is it something where you just use water, milk, or butter, or is it?
Typically, yeah, the stuff they give you most of the ingredients, even the seasonings and everything. But you need black pepper, you need salt, you need cooking oil, butter. and maybe a couple of other things. But if you have like a regularly stocked kitchen because you cook regularly enough, I'm assuming most people have that. But there might be a thing. I don't know. I've only had a couple of the meals, so it's not like I'm real in depth with it. But that would have been it, and it's convenient. It's pricey though too, depending on what your status is. So for some people, it might be well worth it. For others, maybe it's a little bit too pricey, or you just don't have the time. But it was cool. It was a fun thing to do just a couple times.
I make jambalaya, but I now made it into my own recipe. But I do still every once in a while glance at the back of the box, whether it's what do you call it? Rice, dirty rice or jambalaya. But I do that all the time. I haven't done macaroni and cheese. I can't remember the last time. Microwave popcorn from Chris Bartles.
So something simple like boxed mac and cheese, frozen pizza, or microwave rice doesn't count.
Oh, okay. So then,
yeah. You just don't use recipe guides, I guess.
What's that?
So you just don't use recipe guides. No,
I'm one of those that just kind of makes it up along the way. I cook enough to where I don't need that. But the answer would be, I'm sure there are. I have a stack of papers with old recipes that are, especially when they come to casseroles, which, Craig, you don't like a lot of my casseroles, but I that's the last time I did. I don't remember when, a couple weeks ago. By the way, we can always go learn how to make the Renfredo. Paxton. Old Barn Cat, pot stickers, chicken fried rice, and bok choy.
That all sounds great.
God, that sounds really good. It absolutely does. All right. Thank you very much for that. That's the wheel. Let's get to the quizzes. We have two of them. And the first one, following a blockbuster trade, brothers Matthew and Brady Tkachuk are officially reunited on the same roster. Which NHL team do the superstar siblings play for together? This is the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, it's the Florida Panthers. That coming down just, I guess it was yesterday, maybe.
Yeah, sometime,
the Tkachuk brothers are now in Florida, so a great place for a couple of Team USA guys to be, and pretty good franchise. It's won a lot here recently.
So there we are, Florida Panthers. The answer is the Florida Panthers. Brady was traded from Ottawa to Florida to join Matthew. Fresh off winning the Olympic gold medal together for Team USA and sharing the NHL 26 deluxe cover with their dad, Keith, making the family milestone even better. Keith was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2026 alongside Patrice Bergeron, with Corey Price less than 24 hours after the trade.
Well, pretty good run for that family, huh?
Golly, that's amazing.
Louise, doing pretty well.
That's great lineage and bloodlines. All right, next trivia or quiz. All right, Neil Diamond's 1969 hit "Sweet Caroline" became a UK soccer anthem. Which Boston franchise started the tradition that helped make it famous worldwide?
I mean, I know it for the Red Sox. I don't know about the history of it or anything, but I know it for Boston Red Sox. What is
I don't. Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox is where I would have heard it, and of course, I love that song. They played at stadiums, college games, etc. I would say the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, I think it's the Boston Red Sox. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but no, I think that's it.
Well, Boston Patriots, New England Patriots. The Boston Red Sox, the answer is.
Yeah. Tradition began at Fenway in the late 1990s, became an official eighth-inning staple across the Atlantic during the 2019 MLB London Series, inspiring Wembley DJ Tony Perry to spin it at Euro 2020. It became an instant fixture, and 3 Lions fans have now carried the anthem across the pond to pack out U.S. stadiums for the 2026 World Cup. I know Mexico's got their song. I can't identify it, but I hear it in my head right now that you hear all the time if you're watching them.
Yep.
Wonderwall for England after the game the other day was pretty cool to watch that. Saw Erling Haaland and his teammates doing the Viking celebration. That's not really song related, although I guess it kind of technically has some musical attachment to it. But this one, Boston Red Sox, didn't doubt that one too much, but you never know. So 2-0 today on the trivia questions.
Yeah, we're rolling, Andrew. Thank you for the 2 quizzes, the polls coming up as well of what you, our audience, our fantastic customer, and what you do every day.
a fantastic customer in what you do every day. Thanks for watching.
Listen,
Yeah.
sometimes I get a little bit confused on things. The brain doesn't work like it used to. All right, how will Dusty May's shocking jump to the NBA turn out? Huge success for Flag, flops with past college guys, and great for the Mavericks and ruins the blue, which is, of course, Michigan. I don't think it's going to ruin Michigan. I think Michigan's going to be fine. Mike Boynton or whatever, interim and how he moves forward. I saw where McKinney, one of their better players, is coming back. I just think it's a nice deal, success for Flag, but I don't think it's going to hurt Michigan. But 43% say flops like past college guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's really fair. We've seen a lot of really good coaches come over and not translate very well. I don't have a great feel for it right now. I mean, I think it's an exciting hire on the surface, a big name, the most recent national championship head coach, leaving a really prominent program says a lot for you as a Mavs fan that he wants to come take this job. So the preliminary excitement all makes a lot of sense. And obviously he's a big Cooper Flag fan, so that bodes well. But yeah, I mean, as far as what it actually looks like, I don't know. But I did see somebody rightfully point out of like going from FAU to the Dallas Mavericks in the span of like 5 years or whatever the hell it's been is pretty significant glow up in a very short amount of time for Dusty May. So
we had him on. Remember that? Back when he was at
vaguely,
FAU,
yeah.
we did. We had him on the show, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place.
So we deserve the credit for him.
We
being where he
assisted.
is,
We
what you're
should be a
saying,
part
yeah.
of his Wikipedia page.
No, I mean, I'll say, huge success with Flag. I don't think it's going to ruin Michigan, like you said. I don't think it ruins Michigan at all. I think they'll be just fine. And I don't know about the flopping part. For some reason, I kind of feel like he'll be okay, but we will see. We will see.
All right, there we are with the poll results. One more to go. How many wins will Ole Miss end up with in 2026 under Pete Golding? I like Pete Golding. I like Alex Golish, and I like Pete Golding. I like both of them now as a part of the head coach in the SEC.
Do you not like the phrase "get in"? Did you feel like you needed to change the word?
I'm telling you
in
right
there?
now, I feel like my energy levels. I feel like I
talk
feel
to
fine.
Petty Clinic.
Yeah, I need to call Dr. Petty to get a goose.
I just wonder why you stopped on there and you're like, I don't want to say get in, end up in is what we need to go with instead.
How many wins will Ole Miss football have in 2026 under Pete Golding, or however? Thank you, Andrew, for writing it the way you did. I said 8 or 9.
Yeah, I'm in the 8 or 9 camp. I think there's a lot of reasons to feel like they could be really, really good again. But I just feel like there's going to be, man, as good as they have a lot of returning talent, as good as they're expected to be, I just think there is a little bit of a drop off without Lane Kiffin there. So yeah, I think I'm more inclined to go 8 and 9. I haven't even looked at their schedule, which would probably be really helpful, but we're just kind of throwing these questions. So let me just glance at it real quick, and that'll help either finalize my answer or not. So LSU at Florida. I got Louisville in the first game of the year. LSU at home, third week of the year. At Florida, at Vandy.
That's going to be they're going to need security.
Mizzou at home, at Texas. Auburn and Georgia at home, at Oklahoma.
They're not 7 or fewer.
So yeah, I'm looking at 8 or 9 wins.
I said 8 or 9. They're still incredibly talented. Best running back maybe in the country with Lacey. But let's see if they can continue the magic they had near the end when Golding took over, when Kiffin was asked to leave. All right. Thank you very much, Andrew Valade. Also, thank you, Rez, by yourself throughout the entire day today. Unbelievable job. Thanks to our great sponsors. We are back tomorrow every afternoon, 3 o'clock Central for Craig Smoke. And I'm David Smoke. We appreciate you. Have a great night. This is 365 Sports and the Smoke Show. It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
For anyone that's in the car buying mode or looking for a car right now or a truck, I would definitely come by Allen Samuels, get to know the people here like I have, how well I'm taking care of the dealership and how well, service and any kind of warranty issues and those sort of things. Because the way they take care of me, it's made me a Ram driver. And so I don't think they'd want to go anywhere else if they came here.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.